Dave, thank you for coming in today. You are reading for the role of co-host on a unsuccessful 40K podcast.
Do what now?
Did you not know about that? Sorry.
Okay.
We scheduled this interview like 3 weeks ago.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
All right.
So I just need you to read the script in front of you. Again, you're reading for the role of Dave, co-host on an unsuccessful 40K podcast.
I mean, we even renamed the part after you, so it would help you out, like Tony Danza.
All right. Hold on. Let me get my sheet here. All right. This is Dave Eaton.
Why did you leave the sheet down and just make noises with your mouth?
It's more fun that way. This is Dave Eaton reading for the part of Dave, co-host on a shitty 40K podcast. I'm so old. I have erectile dysfunction. What? I also think that Space Marines are the best. Well, that's true. Thank you for letting me read.
Don't call us, we'll call you.
Yeah, we'll get back to you.
Wow, we're back for another Mob Rules. John here, joined by
Danny,
and now by Inger. Hi, Inger.
Yeah, how's it going?
Playing the role of Dave. No, you're not. That's fine. Hi, Dave. How are you?
I'm good.
I mean, I like how
Who's that Swede that just left her? He was dreaming.
you would think that.
In all fairness to Dave, we started recording by me hitting record and yelling at him. So you're here to audition for the role of Dave.
I like that we're auditioning Dave, and Dave was on the podcast before I was.
Oh yeah, but
you're the better addition.
You're a legacy hire.
Okay.
Your dad was in a podcast similar to
there we go. Yeah,
nepotism at its finest.
That's not fucking fair.
I mean,
my dad.
You were on that podcast too, Dave.
My podcasts weren't around when my dad existed.
Oh,
God damn it,
man! Yeah, they called them talkies.
I was gonna say don't bring God into this.
They called them silence. Really didn't
Silence?
with these hockeys. That's how old it was.
Okay, it wasn't like the
cave paintings on walls.
Yeah, there was music. It was like.
Oh, I don't have anything queued up for that.
I know, that's why I'm making the music.
Oh, thank you, I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
That is an
amazing
traditional tone.
You're welcome.
Hey, before we get started, just some quick housekeeping.
I'm not fucking cleaning your house again, John.
God damn it. Just please. Okay, so I want to thank everyone for the positive reactions we got for the our trailer for our review of Codex Space Marines that you guys should probably be able to see today. We had a lot of fun destroying things for that.
It was cathartic.
It was cathartic. It was pretty good.
Not for me.
Much like new Space Marines will destroy the game, we destroyed old Space Marines. But I'm sure we'll get into that later on.
Spicy.
Does anyone want to buy 6 unopened boxes of Plague Bearers? No. And then also, what else did we want to talk about, Dave? Oh yeah, we're no longer a Four Loco podcast. Four Loco is dead, gone. If you were a member of the Patreon, Mob Rules, you would have known this already.
Explain the story behind this.
I mean,
I've been working for a long time to get us the Four Loco sponsorship.
Sure.
And I finally got a cease and desist letter from the guys that make Four Loco.
Right.
So fuck them. So
Games Workshop
Games
Workshop barely knows we exist. Why does Four Loco know we exist?
I have sent them a lot of stuff.
Dave, I've seen some of those crayon stick figure painting or drawings, and some of the things that you're doing to Four Loco was very unnatural.
Cave paintings, you son of a bitch.
a
You
penis.
uncultured swine.
Okay.
That's a herd of buffaloes.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, pretend legal action or not, we have ditched the Four Loco. Some say it is due to impending lawsuits. Others can say it's because we're all in our upper 30s/40s and can no longer drink
Or older.
the sheer amount of sugar and hatred that is contained in each Four Loco.
Now, this isn't to say that we'll never drink a Four Loco again.
Oh no, for sure. In Vegas,
Absolutely
I'm sure
not.
we'll
Oh, yeah.
absolutely
The Four Loco will flow.
in Vegas as we
Corn
drink with
Wilson.
our listeners. Four Loco for the Four Loco God.
Right.
But now, kids, we are a White Claw podcast. And I purposely did that on top of Dave's opening of the can.
You just
Loaded.
rate us with
Dude.
White Claw. I mean, it's delicious,
Yeah, it's
but
ama-
at the same
Delicious. White Claw, if you were unaware, is the latest meme drink to hit the world. I first heard of it from wrestling, and then Danny bought some camping.
time. Yeah.
And then it turns out that, if you're literally, it tastes like you're drinking sparkling water, then your alcoholism is a little less pronounced.
Right. Right. And it's low carb.
Yeah. So yeah, White Claw. We got a sound effect for it and everything. Got nothing for Four Loko.
Definitely not two
You don't
and a
need
half
it. Four
days
Loko
of
doesn't
John's
need a
life
sound.
into that sound.
Well, yeah, that's fair.
This is the Four Loko sound. It's my walker
Oh, okay.
from being paralyzed by the sheer alcohol content of this thing. Some fine walker noises. But anyway, Dave, what you been up to?
Well, I did a little bit of painting. I kept working on the stuff, getting ready for Battle Zone Ursa coming up. Oh,
yeah.
Big ass
Yeah.
GT.
Third year of Battles on the Ursa up here. Third GT we're going to be having at the Egan Center in Anchorage, Alaska.
Yep.
First year I am missing.
Yeah. It's not the first year you're missing. Oh, well, technically, you're not going to actually be at the event. You didn't play the last 2 years, though, because you were judging.
I was
Slash
organizing.
butchering streams.
Yeah.
Yeah, butchering streams, learning about mic levels in ways that tortured our viewers on YouTube and Twitch at the same time.
Amazing.
Good thing none of those lessons took. So
Well, I prepared them for listening to the podcast.
Yeah,
So
sure.
there's that too. But yeah, so right now it looks like we're going to be definitely getting like 30, 32 people in there, hit that GT level. I also have some Age of Sigmar going on. There's a big War Machine event going on that's got a couple of our buddies really excited for War Machine again, which I'm excited to buy a cheap War Machine army in 2 months when they're done with it.
Are you, though?
No.
No.
Yeah, no, I'm not. But yeah, so I'm super excited for that. But yeah, Dave, you must be really excited for that because of the new Space Marine Codex coming.
I was super excited for the Battle Zone Ursa until the new Space Marine Codex started coming.
Oh, why?
Oh, because I had a list. I was going to start practicing. I was going to get 20 to 30 games in before Ursa so that I could get some good practice and know exactly what I need to do with my list.
Uh-huh.
And instead,
Drop
they
93 points.
totally.
That's what you need to do.
That wasn't even the Space Marine Codex, though. That was just an FAQ to bring them back into alignment.
No, I changed the list around after the points.
Oh, okay.
I adapted it.
So what are you worried about then? I don't understand.
Oh, the new Space Marine Codex? All of the stuff that they've previewed so far has just made me go, well, fuck. Now I want to take everything. How am I going to... What is going to be the best for me to be able to take first place?
Nobody knows.
Nope.
No, that's the problem.
Nope. You like your gun lines, though.
I like to castle and sit for 2 rounds.
And-
It's usually the
and-
best way, the way that I like to
Little Robert Gordon and his flowy tanks of doom. It is a fun tactic, and I don't see it changing all that much. In fact, I just see it getting better through Codex Space Marines.
play. Oh, it's the filler items because there's so many good stuff. I mean, they previewed some stuff. Well, we'll talk about that stuff a little bit later. But I have my current list for Ursa is 3 Repulsor Executioners with Laz,
Triple
Bobby
boo.
G. Bobby G is bringing along his friend, a Tech Marine.
1 million boos.
Boo.
One of the Repulsor Executioners is actually bringing along a dedicated transport repulsor with Laz.
Oh, so it can see if you want to fit a
in case
repulsor
I
in a
want to,
repulsor.
yeah, so I can just wedge it on in there.
Just
Yo,
exhibit
dog.
it. Yes.
And then I've got I have another Tech Marine.
Heard you like to repulse.
Oh, he doesn't like
It's
to.
a
He
minus
just
4.
does.
That's a stacked -4 if you charge that repulsor actually, because there's 2 inside of it. One inside.
Oh,
of it.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's how that rule works when things are off the table. Dave, if you're going to cheat, you got to keep consistency.
Nope. Always keep them guessing. That's my motto.
He won't. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and so I've got the spearhead with the the executioners, and then I have another spearhead that through open discussion decided on Raven Guard prior to the Codex chapter tactics announcements.
Yeah, that might change now, I think, right?
So I was taking a Tech Marine just because I needed another Tech Marine to be able to repair stuff and a cheap HQ, and then 3 squads of Eliminators to be able to snipe the bejesus out of whatever the hell I wanted, sit and cover, hold small objectives, stuff like that. Raven Guard because I gave them the -1 to hit, and the Cloaks already give them a 2-up cover save as long as they're in cover. So, I was like, I'm liking this. I need to practice it. now it's like, well, Raven Guard gives them an extra +1. So if the camo cloaks plus Raven Guard with the new tactics, I don't know how that's going to work. I'm still going to run at this.
They count as in cover. So if you're those guys, you'll have a 1-up in the open.
2 up in the open. If that counts as being in cover, then
and they get an extra point of cover
for being more than 12 inches away.
So that's a 1-up.
So you set like a little objective in your backfield.
So
just park there flipping off.
So I have a 1-up or if I have a 1-up already on a piece of terrain, I also have a 1-up not on a piece of terrain because the camo line cloaks give you a 2. They change your cover save to 2 instead of 1.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah,
Dave.
I know. I'm just saying.
I'm very confused right now.
Good.
So if you're
always keep them guessing.
If you're in the cover, then you'll be -1 hit as well.
You're not the one you're supposed to keep guessing, though, Dave.
So basically, nothing changed except they got better because their guns all got better, and they.
Well, I mean, I missed that where it's listed that in one of the articles. So I mean, the going up to 5 from 4 because that was the only thing I was like, man,
I didn't see that before either. Yeah, but strength
going
5.
Up to strength 5,
That's fucking spicy, dude.
I'm going to snipe the bejesus out of stuff. But there's also other new squads, that are coming out that can do other stuff. And like I said, we'll talk about that. And
I hope
so
to
that's
God
what I've been
they're
working
all
for.
800 points each.
How much is a regular Space Marine? 11 points?
Yeah.
We'll just make that up. We'll say they're 11 points. The new Primaris units, 9 points.
9 points.
That's how GW gets it. That's the final nail in the coffin.
Internet is going to explode about,
My head is going to explode.
Could you imagine that? It's like, all right, here I got these Vanguard vets.
Everywhere as I buy a bunch of Space Marines.
Sorry, did you just say semen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said my head is going to explode.
Into semen.
Yeah. With semen.
Oh, with semen.
Yeah.
If Space Marines are 9 points each.
Hey, so also...
It's like one of those weird jackass style dares.
Besides building... some eliminators and getting them base coated and starting to paint on them. I have been working on Warcry terrain.
Nice.
I'm done and forgot to bring it with me.
Good, because I'm not done.
Right.
So I can still lie and say.
I am going to prime them. So
I was like, we're going to do this in 2 weeks when John's done. So we'll get Warcry ready and then we'll do it. And so I cranked it out.
And instead I'm just like, hey, let's burn a bunch of Dave and Danny shit.
Yeah.
And then
John's like, hey, can we fake burn a Space Marine Codex? And I'm like, John, no, dude, we can for real burn my Space Marine Codex. And he's like,
and I was like,
no,
yeah,
man.
John was like, Dave, bring your Space Marine Codex over. I was like, no, because I can't verify that you won't actually burn it, and I need to still use it.
So my favorite part was when Dave came up with this idea for an intro for the review video.
Oh, don't spoil it yet.
And then I was like, no, I don't like it. Here, we're just going to burn the old Codex. And you're like, wait, what?
So what you should have done, John, is told me about this idea in private and told Dave just to bring the Codex, and then we could burn it for real in front of him.
I would never have brought the Codex over. I'd have been like, if John ever said, hey, Dave, can you bring me X that is also flammable and I know it? It's not coming. I don't care what it is.
So anything, basically.
Literally, anything.
Yeah, pretty much anything.
Anything's flammable with enough gasoline.
That's right. Well, not
technically the gas is on fire, but it looks like it's on fire.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Definitely
You're
not.
right.
Yeah. But not steel beams.
I was just going to say steel beams.
It's gasoline, not jet fuel. So, but how did the Warcry terrain go together? Because honestly, I had zero hype or care for this game. We got a box in to kind of take a look at. After putting my side of the kit together.
Hold on. I have the exact same attitude you do. I liked the idea of the game, but I liked it when I thought it was just 6 warbands. When they said, just kidding, you can use everything else, I went, oh, it's Kill Team for Age of Sigmar. Yeah, I'm good. When it was just, I was hoping it was more along the same lines as the old Chaos book in the 80s where you took a hero.
Path to Glory.
Yeah, basically. And you built your warband up one or two models at a time by die roll. So I was like, oh man, you start with, 20 points of models or something like that. And if you you go up, you play better, dudes join you.
That's a Necromunda style thing, right?
Kind of. Except
like a Mordheim-y.
Yeah. I mean, except you got to buy those in that. I'm just talking about getting them for free.
You know that they have that in Age of Sigmar right now, right? Like all of the...
I mean, this isn't an Age of Sigmar podcast, so no. Why would I know that?
Sorry, Dave.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, moving on. But so the terrain.
It actually went together very well. There were a couple pieces that had me a little worried. There's some dangly skeleton dudes that...
I wanted all of those to put on 25 mils. I just feel like these are my skeletons.
Suck on it.
They're just kind of standing with their arms crossed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
They're dead vampires.
I'm gonna break
Karen.
these so much.
That's her name.
Karen.
And other than that, I played in a tournament last weekend.
You did.
Oh,
you did.
Congratulations.
And going into the final round, I was in first place.
Wow.
Oh, look at you.
Unfortunately, I ran into perennial badass Rob Porter.
Yeah.
Why is his ass bad?
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's nice.
Yeah.
Do
Just
you?
sweatpants.
Yeah. The sweatpants. Yeah.
Sweatpants. He and I had a very interesting game. We ended up on the only table that didn't have Nova walls, that had just frontline gaming terrain, so one big center block piece. And
Oh,
then
no.
lots of open areas for him to light me up with his stuff.
Yeah.
And I was still running the trip.
Hey, so let me
executioner
ask you a
list.
question. Did you let him define terrain for you at the start of the game?
We defined terrain together and then got confused in the middle of the game.
Okay.
Because I didn't hear all of what he said. He said, no magic boxes, right? And I said, did he just say he wants to use magic boxes? Okay. Yeah, magic boxes. Okay. So
Dave using those husband listening skills.
right? So we got into a debate about it because I was like, oh, I thought you said you want. That's why I was so confused when you said magic boxes, because I thought you wanted to use it to put your dudes inside, and so I was going to use it to put my dudes inside. Mm-hmm. And he's like, no, the roof doesn't come off. I don't want to use markers and stuff. Why would I want to do that? And I was like, oh, thank God. I hate magic boxes if you can't actually lift to see where the models are. Mm-hmm. So other than that, I just I misplayed a little bit with my deployment, and then one of my first tank blew up, killing both my tech marines.
Oh, ouch.
And damaging every single thing else that was around it. So
Double ouch.
At least you rolled a 6. That's good.
Yeah,
You rolled 1-6.
Yeah.
Just ill-timed.
I rolled a 6 in the game 2 as well. So let's talk about this tournament.
Yeah.
So game 1.
I mean, spoilers. You said you were winning when you went into the
Right.
last round.
Game 1, I played against my first opponent of the Midnight Sun GT. He changed his list up a little bit. He no longer had a Castellan. He now had a Valiant. He also had a Death Strike.
Okay.
Ooh.
And unlike our first game, I got to go first.
So he no longer had a couple of those things anymore?
He didn't have a Valiant and 2 tank commanders when the first turn was done.
Wow.
So
A Night Valiant?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
That's a really good turn of shooting.
yeah.
That's pretty solid.
And then it was just, unfortunately, it was just easy mop up after that. Because most of his stuff he didn't have any troops, so he just had
okay.
tanks, and they were just really easy to clean up with the repulsors.
Sure.
And I finished that 39-3.
Okay.
So it was something brutal like that, and I was like, oh no, I really didn't want to win. I know he's not listening because he's a teenage. He's like a 14 or 15-year-old kid.
And our target audience is
And
our parents.
He has a dad that loves him, so there's no way he's listening to this. But I didn't want to win that badly. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want
With
to
that
crush,
many points?
Yeah, I didn't want to crush him. I
Are you
don't care
saying
about the
for your
points.
strategy?
I didn't want him to not score anything. I wanted him to also score. So
You
that
got
he felt
0
good about it.
points, Dave?
He had 3.
Dude.
I mean, it's like scoring nothing.
I was going to say, that's pretty messed up, dude. You wouldn't even let him kill one of your repulsors?
No.
Fuck that. I tried to let him kill other stuff, but he just failed.
But not your babies.
Terrible. Yeah. Those babies finished the game without a scratch on them. Wink. Thanks, Tech Marine.
Oh, so they were scratched, but there was a dude running behind them buffing.
Yeah.
Right.
He was also rolling 6s for repairing, so I didn't lose one. I mean, still only 3, but.
Yeah, I get you.
So round 2 was against James Kempner and his GSC Carnifex list. He was playing just sheer boatloads of deck effects.
Yep.
So I just played, I'm going to sit here. Come on and get me. And he did.
Oh.
He ended up losing the game. I beat him 22-20. It was a lot closer than it would have been. It came down to, unfortunately, it came down to not being able to charge Bobby with his Primus, his Warlord.
Yeah.
Or Magus, sorry. His Magus. He was going to charge into, but I had the 2 repulsors.
The Patriarch, you mean?
Yeah, I'm sorry, the Patriarch.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Because, why would you charge that stuff into Bobby G. I would be shocked.
Well, I don't know. So
Anyway.
so the Patriarch, the top tier leader of the Gene Stealer cult, he you can't get within 1 inch of any other model you didn't declare as a charge. So Bobby was halfway back behind the tank line, and he couldn't get his base within 1 inch of Bobby's without getting within 1 inch of those other ones.
Oh.
So he couldn't make the charge. So instead, on the final turn of the game, he had just walked out into the open in front of 2 repulsor executioners.
Oh.
Ouch.
Yeah. And, he would, unfortunately, he got a little upset. And that's, it's understandable.
Did he declare the repulsors as charge targets or just not? Oh, okay.
No, because if he had, he would have died anyway from the repulsor's Overwatch.
Well, maybe.
Of old age, waiting for it to finish.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, he didn't want to take the fire from that. He only had 2 wounds left.
Oh,
so
okay.
the good chance of actually dying.
Yeah, especially, yeah.
So he couldn't make the charge, and instead it just, sometimes when you make a decision and then you realize later it makes you angry and you want to kick a chair,
Yeah. Yeah, I totally have seen that before.
I mean, I've never got that mad.
Or
at a
throw
game.
your hat on the ground. Yeah.
That's the kind
Fucking going gangbusters on that chair.
I mean, I felt bad, but at the same token, it was one of those, dude, what do you want from me? You're out in the open now. You want me to just to let you move past the movement phase and the shooting phase onto the charge phase? We have to go all the way back.
So I made a similar mistake in one of my games at Midnight Sun where I left a Demon Prince wide out in the open. But like, you're right. You're like, at that point when you look over and see, you're like, well, shit.
Yeah. I mean,
And then move on.
he wouldn't have moved out if he couldn't have made the charge. And I'm like, well, I'm not telling you that you can't make the charge because I don't want you to make the charge. I'm telling you, you can't make the charge because you would be violating the rules of.
So this is a good opportunity to talk about intent and asking your opponent questions like that, because that's important. Yeah. So say, hey, I'm moving this guy out here. Can I charge Bobby G? Okay. You can't actually charge him without touching one of my tanks. All right. Okay. Well, in that case,
I would have told him that had he asked me.
Oh, yeah. Sure. That's something. That's what Danny's bringing up here is like, that's a really great thing to do to your opponent and be like, hey.
I think I would have actually probably said, I don't think you could make a charge with Bobby G because of the closeness of the tanks. I think you can't get around them. I would have given him that opportunity, but once it came down to it and he declared the charge and done all that stuff and moved out there and made the charge technically in distance of inches, he just didn't make it. So
it happens.
Yeah,
poor kids.
Yeah,
poor kids.
So I won that, and then I had to go up against Rob, like I said, and we had a great game. We talked afterwards because it finished very quickly. Now, after Rob finished his round 2 game much sooner than I finished mine and started the smack talking about how he was going to have me tabled by turn 3. I was going to go down like a punk bitch.
I mean, is it smack talking if it's true?
Well, it's not true. I think that's what Dave's going to do.
Are you done?
Yeah. Just now.
So not only did he not table me, he never killed Bobby G.
Wow.
Oh, that was
not even
joke.
not even one time.
Nope.
Oh wow. Okay.
Didn't manage to kill him at all. So suck on that, Rob.
Was he hiding inside a magic box?
Maybe.
Which he can't get into.
Yeah.
So technically, he can't get out
he
of.
snuck through a door underneath.
He's a monster, not an infantry model.
No, he was in.
He is a monster.
Yeah, he is. You're a monster.
I mean, he was in cover, but
I'm a monster. All right. Yeah. Sorry.
You got any more?
Nope. I'm done.
Nope.
Got it. So I ended up 4th in that tournament, but I feel like I learned a lot playing against somebody of Rob's caliber.
It's always good to play someone way better than you are.
That's pretty good since you've only played like 8 games of 8th edition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say every game for Dave is playing against someone way better than he is.
That was actually my 12th game of 8th edition, you son of a bitch. But it has catapulted me up. At the end of that tournament, I was actually in 20th for Astartes. I set a personal goal of myself of being in top 5 in one faction. Now, I thought that faction was going to be Custodes, but then they screwed that up with the scoring.
And now they screwed it up by making Astartes, like, essentially lifting Astartes' skirt up and sticking his leg out in the street corner for everyone to move over
Just
to.
give a big old hump on.
Yep.
Yep, like a dog.
It's a starter army because it's so good.
So, yeah, that's been what I've been up to. Let's go ahead and just move into the next segment because you two are idiots.
Hey, Danny, what have you been up to? I mean, we are idiots, but
I mean, that's all accurate. Man, I am super excited about the new Space Marine book. I've been reading stuff. I am.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
What?
Hold on.
Hey, come on now, Salty over there.
It's a hot trigger finger.
Let me try it. I am super excited for the new Codex Space Marines book.
I don't have a cricket sound on here anymore.
God. Right. Oh,
there we go.
Making his own.
Yeah, I got nothing. That's it. I'm not the Foley guy. Danny's the Foley guy.
It's fair. No, but yeah, you're super excited for the Space Marine book.
I am. I think that there's some really cool characterful combos that might actually even work good. I have some stuff I want to try, so I'll probably
Is that butt sex?
not
not related
not
to 40K
this time, Dave. But I'm not ruling that out.
Fool me once.
Yeah. Well,
You said this was a friendly game. Ow.
but I'm excited. I want to see what they can do. I want to screw around with some lists. Probably, I want to fuck around with that a little bit and then see what I end up with.
I do too.
So I'm super intrigued to see where it goes. I mean, I know by the time this comes out,
go to first place.
We'll know.
Ursa, obviously.
But here's the deal: like
Wow.
everything that's coming out is super sweet. So what are the downsides? Like, are points doubled? Like, or
Nope.
Are there like restrictions or things like that? It's just
Nope.
I mean, bold claims you're probably right about, but I think one of the reasons the repulsor like Fuckucutioner went up 31 points is based off of the buffs and changes they're going to get from the new codex.
Well, the only buff they're going to end up getting is the ability to have chapter tactics, which as a let's see. So
so that
That
only
we
makes
know of.
yeah, that we know of so far, and that would only make your like stupid tank -5 AP or -4 AP.
no, it's -4. That's you're thinking of. We'll go into that
Yeah.
later. But I mean so look at Ultramarines. Ultramarines have they can fall back and still shoot at a -1.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the tanks have fly, so they already had that.
Well, okay.
Right, because I mean,
But none of
because
the
they
other
didn't have-
tanks did.
Right. No, I get that. But for me, from a me standpoint, the executioners aren't benefiting from the chapter tactics
Well,
of
and
Ultramarines.
Reboot Gulliman can use the chapter tactics now, finally.
Mm-hmm. So
He couldn't before.
He can fuck
Well,
off out of combat.
Of course he couldn't. Just because you write something, those that do write, those that don't fall back and shoot at -1. Okay?
But I'm digressing away from exciting stuff that I'm sure we'll talk about later.
Dave,
Here.
instead of going over my head, that went right into my brain and made me laugh pretty good. So that was a good one.
So yeah, you're hyped about the codex.
I'm hyped about that. I'm hyped about. So I also did I play in a tournament? I did not.
No, you did
I
not.
Bailed.
You stopped by.
Oh no, actually, I did play in a tournament. F you, Dave. I did.
What tournament did you play in?
I played in the team tournament with our teammate Joe.
That's not a real tournament.
Yeah, it is a real tournament.
It
Skip
was awesome. I painted a Chaos
That's
Knight,
true.
and then I also
Hey, it
painted.
actually looked pretty good too.
Thanks. I know it's surprising.
I preferred the picture of your dog, like most of our listeners.
As well, just most of everybody.
I liked everything about it except one shoulder pad, where it looked like you accidentally brushed too much of the typhus corrosion on, and you could see like a solid brush bloop.
That's
Oh,
where
yeah,
it's
probably.
that's where it's extra corrupted. You just don't know.
Don't question it. Anyway, so I painted him, and I painted up 3 Lord Discordants, which was pretty
Yeah,
awesome.
the Discordants look better than
Yeah.
They did. They
It turned
matched
out
very
real
well.
nice. Yeah.
So you're running them as Purge, obviously the way they look.
Nope. False host.
So you're saying that people can run armies not painted exactly as you want to run them as, and they look better.
Yes.
It's fine.
Well,
As
I
long as
mean,
they're
I
fully
like to
painted.
have all of my stuff painted the same
So
colors.
Ultramarines could be purple.
Sure.
Yeah. My
don't have
Shit,
anything
I didn't
against
expect, I didn't expect that to go that way.
yeah.
All
my
right.
my
Really?
Imperial fists are going to be a second.
Court
final
is
chapter.
adjourned. Let's never mind. I had a whole
not a
spiel set up.
I'm not a purist. I think that anybody should be able to run anything as long as it's like the right rules. I
Unless
don't
you
care.
go to GW and you're playing Stormcast, in which case then you've got to actually have them painted the right way if you want to use the special Stormcast
Okay.
skills.
Well, I mean,
We're not an Age of Sigmar podcast.
right.
Oh, right. Sorry. I'll save
Yeah.
that for Sigmar and Chill.
Yeah.
Oh,
When we finally get back to
the
that.
next episode someday.
Sigmar and Chill episode 3, due out 2022.
When we're tired of 40K.
It's probably fairly accurate there.
It's going to be called Fantasy Battles and Chill by
Oh,
then.
Oh.
man, the dream. Anyway, so so I played in that with my teammate Joe. I brought a Knight Despoiler with 2 Avenger Cannons and 3 Lord Discordants. That was my army for 1,000 points. And then Joe also brought a similarly small army. He brought the same exact knight that I did, in addition to a Slaanesh Demon Supreme Command with 2 Flying Demon Princes and 2 Heralds of Slaanesh. And so our whole...
So no troops.
Troops are for suckers.
In a team tournament, he's right.
So, yeah, and these team tournaments are like notoriously like brutal. Like everybody brings the most broken shit.
Dude, it is.
It's supposed like to be. People can be like, here's Eldar mixed with Imperial Guard and a.
Well, here's the deal. Like, it's supposed to be tank. This friendly event where everyone gets together and be cool. And every single one for like the last 3 years has resulted in like the week before all of us sitting around in a circle trying to figure out how the fuck we can game it as much as possible.
Except me. I brought like a legit list and got my ass handed to me.
Nate and I won team tournament, man. Yeah, figured out how to win by getting tabled turn 1.
Well, that was this.
But then you actually, problem. So you have to remember that you played into your opponent's anger and hatred for you by being like, "Oh, I guess you can't table us," and he's just blowing your shit off the table. You're like, "Look at me failing armor saves," and his buddy's like, "Stop rolling, stop rolling."
That's true. That is what happened. And going back, I took my entire army off the table, and I specifically told my opponent, "We don't need 2,000 points to beat you. We can do it with 1,000. I'm just going to take all my stuff off the table now."
You know what you should have done?
What's that?
It's just deep strike a bunch of your stuff and then waited until turn 4 and like not
oh no,
it come in. Oops, I forgot it all.
Shit.
But anyway, yes, team tournaments.
So first game I played against our teammates, Taylor and Matt, which I was like, we set up against them. I'm like, oh great. Like probably the other toughest team here. We get like round 1. I guess this will figure out whether we're gonna be top tier or not. And their list is like the best list against ours. They had 15 Harlequin Haywire bikers. Combined with 21 Cataphront Breachers with the T6 damage, like, and all of our shit is vehicles. So we're like, oh great. All right, well, I guess let's see what happens. And so we rolled off, and they won, and they had all their stuff deployed out of range, so we probably weren't going to be able to do much on our first turn. And they're like, oh, no, you guys can go first. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, it's game on then, boys. So we moved up. We shot a bunch of Cataphrons. I think we killed almost all of one unit and killed a bunch of another unit. And then, and we killed some Harlequin bikers, too, which was great. And then my knight died.
Because you didn't kill all the Harlequin bikers.
It didn't take very many of them to kill my knight, to be honest. Like one squad did like 10 mortal wounds and did a bunch of... It was bad. And so I'm like, okay, cool. Well, my knight died and I lost the Lord Discordant. And then the rest of our army just cleaned up everything. Like, it was crazy. Like, once the Lord Discordants actually got into the servitors, I killed almost an entire unit of servitors every single time I fought.
Jeez.
The breachers or the servitors?
Well, Cataphront servitors. I mean, they're battle servitors. Yeah. The Cataphront breachers, though, is what they did. Yeah. And then Joe's knight took the no minuses to hit on for shooting the like the warp sight helm. So the Harlequin bikers were like, oh yeah, we're -2 to hit, and he's like, dude, I don't care. He's just mowing down, which was great. So we won that one pretty significantly, which was fine. And our opponents were great. I mean, they're good guys. So round 2, we played against some people I've never played before. They had...
The team tournament brings out all sorts of people.
Yeah, it was cool.
Lots of Garage Hammer
comes out. It was really cool. They brought a really fluffy Vostroyan guard list and 3 units of Custodes bikers with a shield captain.
Oh, okay.
So... which actually turned it out to be a kind of a tough list for us to like. So
I could see the bikers and the captain being trouble for you.
They went first and didn't do much to us. They took my knight down a little. I think they took my knight down. Like they bracketed him. Yeah. And then, but they moved the bikers up on both flanks because the whole goal was to like get units sick because it was like a Nurgle themed mission. Each of these missions was themed after a particular god.
Okay.
So the first one was Khorne, and it was all about killing units. There was no objectives at all. It was all kill points.
That's the best way to do it.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're in a team tournament game like this, you know, having a single mission where it's just go kill shit is the right way to do it, in my opinion. So good on the TO or whoever wrote the missions out.
Yeah, they were fun missions.
Yeah.
There was only a couple of points of confusion, and that's because they were just a little wonky sometimes. Anyway, so he moved up his bikers a little bit too far, and I was able to charge a Lord Discordant into 2 units of bikers, and the Lord Discordant just killed both units like right off the bat.
What?
Yeah, 1 Lord Discordant will kill 3 bikers, no problem.
It's pretty balls to the wall.
Dude, they're good.
Do you have I eliminate your invulnerable save?
No, I didn't have to.
That's
They're
what I'm saying.
minus two AP, so you just get a 4 up anyway.
That's what I'm saying. I get a 4 up. He must have failed. He must have rolled not that great.
So
generally, when units die, it's because of failed dice rolls.
So I do multiple
No,
damage
that's not
on
true.
almost all of my attacks, right?
Yeah.
And I have 4 attacks from the rider, 5 attacks from the beast,
Right.
and then another attack from its mouth, and then 2 mechatendril attacks. And since they're flawless host and they have Death of the False Emperor, every 5 or 6 that I roll gets me 2 extra attacks. And I got to reroll ones because Demon Princes were close by. So I think and then I had my Warlord go into 1, and he gets 3 extra attacks every time he rolls a 6+ to hit. And that guy mulched the unit no problem within like the first, the mount and him killed them.
What's a Lord Discordant's threat range?
Yes.
So if they have the ability to advance and charge, which is pretty easy to get them, they're usually movement 14,
Right.
plus a d6, plus assault.
And they bracket, right? Or do they just die?
They do. They bracket.
Okay.
But they also heal a point every turn, and you have to get them down to 6 wounds.
Do they bracket like a repulsor, which is I move 10 inches.
They go down to 9.
Bracket, I move 3 inches.
They go down to 9 inches.
Fucking terrible.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with that distance.
Because that's what your mom's boyfriend. Damn it.
Yeah, right. No, it's true. I was going to make a joke about my small penis, Dave.
I was going to.
So,
Start the podcast over.
anyway.
Oh, okay.
So that turned up to actually, so we killed 2 units of them, and then they counter assaulted, and 1 unit of bikes easily wipes out a Lord Discordant pretty much.
Yeah.
So they were able to kill Lord Discordant roughly every turn between bikes or shooting from Lehman Russes. Yeah. Especially if I roll bad in saves, which I did. Anyway, so like the 1 bike squad killed 2 Lord Discordants, and then his Lehman Russes killed another one, which left basically our whole army was Joe stuff. And so Joe,
Well, that was smart then on their part, because definitely,
Took you out of the game.
take Danny out of the game, and it just leaves Joe.
yeah, but I still was able to advise. So
Nope.
it's basically my
What?
models.
Who was TOing this? I would have kicked
Like
you out.
freaking worm tongue.
Oh, your model's done. Oh,
Yeah,
your
which
model's
means-
gone. You got to leave the table, sir.
I'm
It's
like
single elimination.
my hair instantly got sweaty. I had a cold flop sweat, and I'm like, Joe, move the knight over there, Joe.
Or just get the
You
fuck out of the
started-
way,
you
Joe. I'm
started-
going to move stuff.
You started
And then
Patrick
I'll tell them,
Swayzing
I'm
him
like-
from behind.
Yeah, like Ghost. Yeah.
Oh,
No. I need my YouTube sense.
that's why I only went that
You
far.
have no power here, Gandalf Stormcrow. Anyway, so we won that game, but just barely by like a couple of points. So next round, we ended up playing against a really interesting, weird list. One person was playing,
Shocking at the doubles
yeah.
tournament.
Oh my god, this was and these people had won all their other games, so they must have been doing pretty good. They had an AdMech list and Renegades, and the Renegades list was 4 units of 3 units. No, it was 4 units of 30 Renegades.
I'm sorry, the Heretic Space Marine Renegades?
Yeah, from the like Renegade Guard.
From Forge World.
Renegades and Heretics. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, 4 units of 30 CSM?
No, yeah, they were just
Fuck.
like
Okay.
cultists but worse.
Got it.
And then he also had a Malcador Defender with the 7 heavy bolters or whatever on it, and then a Demolisher Cannon, and then he had 3 Sentinels with las cannons, and a couple of command squads, a couple of commanders. But it was like,
So what do you do with the rest of the points then?
that was it.
Oh, okay.
It was a lot of stuff, dude. It was 120 models. And then his buddy brought AdMech and had 3 Scorpius Disintegrators and 3 transports filled with various stuff.
Was his buddy...
The guy who Ben, he had all the purple
was Ben?
AdMech. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we started off the game and we got to go first. So
Thank God.
oh man. So they deployed on the line, and I'm like, Okay, surf's up, boys. So the Lord Discordants ran across the table, and I got to move an assault with 2 of them on the first turn. And Joe and I had both picked. We were both what are they called? Iconoclast Knights for this, because they were in the Ox detachment. So we wanted to get access to the vows, which were cool.
Right.
So in this one, of course, we took Vow of Carnage, because Vow of Carnage says every model that you kill, you get +1 attack, right? And so my knight's walking up the side of the board where there's 3 of these like 30-man units just dacking down all these guys with cannons, flame throwing them, doing whatever he can to do as much damage as possible. So he locked them up in combat in turn 1, and they killed 1 Lord Discordant. No, they killed both. They killed both of them eventually, which was good. Good for them. They did good there. But the other Lord Discordant and the 2 knights were able to like finish off most of the rest of their army. Plus the Demon Princes. The Demon Princes did really good too. So my knight got up to 56 kills.
Jesus.
Because you have to track that as you're like killing models, right?
So is it you get +1
Wait, your
attack?
one with the fist and the chainsaw killed 56
No,
guys?
the 2 Avenger Gatling cannons.
Okay. That's right.
So I had +5 attacks. So I was rocking 27 stomps.
Let's go.
That's smooth.
Oh, that's a smooth White Claw joke.
Anyway, so that was rad. That was just a bad move, and like them not going first was bad for them, and us going first was real good for us. Yeah, that benefited us very much.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah, congrats.
So we won that event.
We continue the streak of our competitive team winning every friendly tournament.
Oh yeah. And we also got second place too. Taylor and
Oh, nice.
Matt got second.
They
so
recovered from that beating that you gave them.
Hell yeah, they did.
Heck yes. Well, I had a very quiet hobby week coming into finals for college. So I got those out the way. I built the 1/2 of the Warcry set, which, again, not a Age of Sigmar podcast, but those miniatures are goddamn amazing.
They are so cool.
They are so good. They are so dynamic.
Hard agree.
Oof. Like, to the point where, like, I'm literally going to try the game. Like, when we find out we're like, oh, that's cool. We'll talk about it a little bit. But now I'm like, yes, we will be playing this.
Yeah,
it looks rad
I'm pretty
as hell.
stoked about it.
We received the Combat Arena and a couple of the other box games coming up.
Storm Vault and Dreadfane.
Yep. Storm Vault and Dreadfane Combat Arena. So we split those up. We're going to be playing some of those. I'm very excited for those. The miniatures in the Combat Arena box that I assembled, amazing. I mean, I know they're push fit, but like the Servitor, great. The Rogue Trader, like for me, like now we've seen what, 2, 3 Rogue Trader models?
I think 2.
I think 2.
Oh, maybe
I think there's 3.
There's one in Blackstone too.
Yeah, there's one in Blackstone. There's one in Kill Team.
Rogue Trader.
And this one here.
What?
Their design is so alien but familiar. I love it so much.
Fun fact, John Blanche had everything to do with designing those models.
And it shows. No. But like you have the
What's the
traditional...
matter, Danny? You look like you're
No, that's fine.
choking down something over there.
It's my bio.
It's certainly not White Claw.
No, I finished mine.
But it's so it has like your traditional Imperial element. So like the one from the Combat Arena box, she has like a lot of servo skulls and kind of things going around. But there's so many curves and just weird fabrics and things. Well, like if you look at the bionic leg that she has, like it's
Is it also a power sword?
I think you mean the sword, the peg sword she's got.
Yeah, it's if you look at it beside the other Imperial models, it fits, but it's also completely different.
So she is my least favorite out of this, and I get exactly why you like them. You're a weeaboo who's into weird shit like that, so it's fine.
No, but I think you don't like it for the same reason that I like
she's half covered in fur, and you like that. It's fine. But I like the 2 AdMech models and also the Crusader.
Yeah. Like they're
the
all
Crusader
great in
looks
there.
awesome.
I'm excited to give that a try. Outside of that, I assembled 18 bases of Nurglings.
How many Plague Bears did you assemble?
0.
Why not? I hear they're really good against the new Space Marines.
So like I think about it and like looking in, like I just need to cut back on the total amount of Plague Bears I'm running, which I like having the option of 19.
Get rid of the Demon Princes and just keep on going.
But I think like 60 or so is like a good number. But
Yeah, that's probably fair.
I need to throw something else in there to just kind of hit hard. Because really, when your list is about kind of being annoying and hard to get rid of, that's fine. But then when you run into something like 3 Lord Discordants who can clear out a crap load of those really quick, or 3 like repulsor, Lazacutioner tanks that can wipe out a whole bunch.
I didn't clear that many out in actual shooting. I cleared it in you charging me.
Right, but just saying, like, there's a lot of stuff out there that can deal with large chaffy units. Like, I think I was talking earlier about Codex Space Marines, the possibility of having like a Sternguard squad come down and in one turn of shooting have 10 D6 flamer shots and like 20 bolter shots.
Yep. Even though they're at -1.
Even though they're at -1, like even if you drop that squad size down to 9 and you put like a captain or something in there with them for rerolls, that's a lot of damage.
A lieutenant if you had the flamers, but yeah.
And then, if you have like 60 or 10 D6 flamer shots going into there, or 96 flamer shots, then you're not worrying about my my asthma. You're not worrying about a lot of stuff, and it's just kind of like, okay, so I need more than one trick in my list.
I feel
we
like
can't all just run giant tanks and with rerolls.
Yeah,
that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, it is
giant tanks with rerolls.
Mm-hmm. My Lord Discordants.
Yeah. So
they don't get rerolls.
I'm looking at that, and then also I've been watching.
I was confused.
I've been watching a bunch of
porn.
Yeah, also that, but mainly there's a new game came out, so I'm watching a bunch of Let's because I don't have time to play this game. It's some
weird Cthulhu.
Yeah, it's like a Cthulhu detective game, Sunken City.
Dude,
right?
I need to play that.
I just don't have time to play it right now. So like I'm watching a playthrough of it by this guy, and it's like, man, I was like, this is really informing me how like I want to run my Nurgle stuff because
that's cool.
Like it's like a really neat aesthetic, and then
your Nurgle's gonna pick up ammunition and rifle through bodies as you pass over them.
Hells yeah. No, but like just I'm gonna get a great unclean one and just kind of have like a tentacly faced great unclean one. Stuff like that there.
Nice.
And then I got really inspired by that there. My finals finished, like I said, so instantly I obviously started writing like a bunch of shit and just sending it to the guys.
Oh my god, you've been so prolific.
And we rejected 98% of it.
But the 2% that slipped through was very average and passable.
And it was the best.
It was the best.
But I already know our next short that we're gonna do, our next 2 shorts that we're gonna do. So I'm trying to stockpile some stuff.
Don't you dare! Don't lead on. Don't lead on the consumers that listen to our podcast.
No,
here.
I have 2 really easy to film shorts. I'm trying to stockpile some stuff so when because essentially when school starts again,
you want to record a bunch of stuff so that you could just hit like play now button.
Yeah, pretty much. But it's like when school starts again, I want to have stuff that's easy to film and easy for us to get out. So I think I have 2 really solid ideas that will incite humor and rage in equal numbers. But aside from that,
does it have to do with me burning any more Primaris models?
No, there's literally no fire because
I'll burn all of the Primaris models if that's what it takes.
I showed my nephews our video, and they were like, "Uncle Dave, why is that guy putting you? Is that our tank?" I was
like, not anymore.
No,
no, of course not.
But I think
they're holding the grav plates that aren't on them. Where's the tank? It's invisible.
Oh, you can have it back. It's pretty much survived.
Yeah, they can play with this.
I'm barely certain. No, they can't. They're not.
I just did.
The only thing that didn't survive was the lieutenant.
They're not handicapped, Danny.
Oh, wow. I don't know what to say.
I'm done. Yeah, I guess.
Dang, dude.
Yeah, so I'm getting some more Nurgle stuff ready. I'm resisting every urge to pull all of my Astartes stuff out and start running Primaris Space Marines again. But and looking at some of the new rules coming out, I'm bringing my Blight Lord Terminators back into play.
Hell yeah. I think they're going to be so good now.
They're going to be so good now. But you are correct.
So I'm looking at pulling some of those guys out as kind of some nice shock troops coming down.
I hear that, what's his face with the wings is going to be super good now too.
Well, Mortarion?
Yeah, Mortarion.
No.
Shock attack, baby.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he got shock attack.
He probably did. But you know what's better than having one attack? One extra attack. I'm sorry.
I was going to say plus one attack. Just one attack, 2 attacks. Yeah. Is 2 attacks better than just having one? Well,
it can be 3 attacks.
Yeah. Oh, man, yeah. But no, what's better than that is being a live turn 2, which Mortarion can do.
Mine will be,
dude. Nova walls go all the way to the ceiling, baby. You could literally get.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do. Nova walls go all the way up.
Not in our meta, dude.
Not in our meta.
All right. So he lives in every other meta but ours. Sorry, John.
Oh, well,
okay.
To
Anyway.
Vegas with him. But we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back
Just
to
melt
talk
the wings in the fire and fold them around him.
talk more about Space Marines, I guess.
Do you have a single wound? A standard bolt gun? Having trouble maintaining an acceptable Xenos kill count? Only barely over 2 meters tall? Maybe it's time to ask your lieutenant if the Rubicon Primaris is right for you. The Rubicon Primaris is a prescription process that helps you to update that tired look. You may notice an increase in your purging abilities after within 2 to 4 hours. You may experience loss of life, additional organs, and a points increase. Do not take the Rubicon if you plan on fitting into rhinos, drop pods, or other traditional vehicles. The Rubicon Primaris is not intended for second founding chapters. The Rubicon Primaris is for use on genetically enhanced super soldiers over the age of 800 only. You are encouraged to report negative side effects to your company's apothecary. The Rubicon Primaris. Because sometimes plot armor is just not enough.
Hey, we're back.
Man, what a great break.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
It was nice.
I'm refreshed.
New content. Looks like someone's out of school. God.
Well, since I know that we don't edit anything, I'd like to go ahead and take this time now to apologize to all of our listeners that are currently deaf.
Blowing out your
Or-
speakers
or if you
with
were-
the power of White Claw.
Or if you were driving right that second, for causing you to get in a terrible accident, because there's no way. Oof, sorry.
Ooh, it's powerful.
Send your insurance claims agent to John.
Well,
care
here's
of
the thing.
Modules.
All the other clips, so like the What's Up Douchebag, the things, those are all obtained from other places. These are ones that I personally made, so the levels are a little funky on them. And I spent too much time making it. I don't care to go back and adjust it. So I
Nice.
think I'm just going to mark on my board, White Claw level, regular level. And we'll call it good. Hey, so Codex Space Marines is coming. We have a video out about it. It's amazing. It's full of great information. Danny, you were just spectacular.
Thank you.
Dave, that intro, fantastic. But let's assume we don't know anything about Codex Space Marines right now and talk about some of the stuff that
yeah.
we've seen.
You mean we'll talk about just the community articles that are here
Hells
to hype
yeah.
everybody up and sell
Hells yeah.
models?
Let's hype stuff up.
Because my wallet is crying after seeing some of
Man.
that shit.
Okay, so
Because
I
to
heard
transport a squad of Space Marines, you're going to need to get 15 impulsors.
Do you think they'd move at impulse speed?
Ooh,
that's a quality Star Trek
joke.
I did a really bad joke, and you just saved it with a Star Trek reference.
I'm here.
Thank you.
nice job. That's the first
appreciate
time
you.
that's ever happened.
I'm your net underneath your trapeze act, John.
My trapeze
wants
is
to
like a foot off the ground, and I'm constantly
That
falling.
means he wants to
You're
catch what you fall. Anyway, so
Space Marines are getting good.
yeah, getting
mean-
good with Space Marines.
They look like they're getting good.
I think so.
Man.
Everything they've showed us makes them look like they're getting good, which means there has to be a negative there someplace.
So I finished Chapter Tactics this week, right? And Reese made this kind of interesting, like
Chapter
he's like,
Tactics being a podcast done by
podcast.
Pablo and the Frontline Gaming guys.
correct.
Okay.
So they had Reese on as a guest, and of course we all know
Maybe
that.
you were just rereading through Chapter Tactics.
You know.
Oh.
Hey, wouldn't a playtester who's seen these rule sets before maybe accidentally give up hints for some of these things?
Hey, look at that.
Oh, look at that.
Especially when you apply them with Four Loco.
So he.
You're welcome, Reese.
God, he's not going to drink.
He's not going to drink that.
I sent him 5 cases. What are you talking about?
yeah. The
It's
red,
their
white, and
annual
blue
sales
flavor.
now.
I really hope they have an America flavor at some point. I will buy the shit.
We're
out
just
of
going to
those.
combine 3. The red one, the white one, and the
Oh,
blue one.
and make our own in a bag.
I feel so. Oh, like one of those water bags that walkers and hikers carry or our runners carry. On
That's
the
how we
backpack.
smuggle it
Or
into
just-
the
You
hall.
mean a camelback?
Yeah, Camelback.
Thank God.
No,
No,
I was thinking like you get a drink in the Philippines. You get them in a bag,
just
or like
No,
Asia.
I'm talking
Have you ever
about,
seen
like,
that.
we're going to get
We'll
like a
just take,
camelback.
6 Four Locos and mix it together. And when we visit with our Patreons or people who like the podcast, all two
Yeah.
of them at LVO, will just be like, "Do you want to
That's-
drink up the Four Locos
Come
suicide?"
drink from my
This-
sleeve tube. Luckily, none of the organizers listen to this, and they're not going to pat us down for.
I don't think they would do that anyway.
Yeah.
So moving on, Reese mentioned that he thought that maybe Imperial Fists and Iron Hands so Iron Hands being the most prevalent, Imperial Fist being second most prevalent, as being like the number they'll be seen the most, those 2 chapters.
It hurts me that I started 8th edition playing Iron Hands. Well, Iron Hand successor with the Primaris stuff, and just couldn't do well enough with them. So I switched, and now all of a sudden they're going to be the new hotness. And if I go back to them, everybody's just going to be like, "Look at you, you bandwagon bitch."
You're like, yep. Now take those models off the table because I just killed that unit.
You can go ahead and keep your comments to yourself while you're walking away after your loss at LVO.
Loser.
Bitch.
You had one good point for every point you scored in this game. So one. Yeah.
Dang.
Jinx,
Just
you
be
owe
a
me White
real.
Claw.
Just be a real. Oh wait, let me turn down the levels. There we go.
Nice.
So anyway, I'm super excited. You know what thing? I have two things that I'm the most excited
Okay,
about.
tell me what you're hyped
Also,
about.
two things that I'm hyped about. So let's hear
yeah?
yours.
Yeah, let's hear from.
So, my number one thing that I'm hyped about is not White Claw. Surprisingly, that's not the case in this instance. Where
I
we're
keep
talking
forgetting
about.
to turn it down.
That was surprising because it was very loud. God. So,
Oh, this is so quality.
we get like
that's
20,000
good.
Suppressors.
We get
Good.
like
Yeah.
10,000 downloads
I
an
want to
episode.
play,
After
Dave.
this one, it's going to be a
Stop
2.
trying to play footsie with my headphone cord. Try to
Fuck you,
rip
you're
these
not- you're
right
not
off my head.
You're not my goddamn headphone supervisor.
I'm excited about suppressors. Suppressors with the Devastator Doctrine are getting -1 AP on all their shots, so each one gets 2 strength 7 -3 shots at 2 damage each, and I think that is a phenomenal deal. In addition, who knows? Maybe they'll get a points decrease.
Yes,
Hopefully.
that's probably.
I wouldn't
So
be
that's-
surprised.
So you're excited about the Devastator Doctrine and suppressors?
And suppressors, that's my number one.
Okay.
Okay.
I feel like-
Closely followed by that Avatar walker suit thing with the heavy bolter pistol. Oh, here it comes.
Hey, called it.
Months ago.
You can hear me because it's so stealthy.
They removed the armor plates to make it stealthier.
They have plating to make it quieter.
You can barely tell it's here.
Yeah, so when we made that joke about stealthy Space Marines, like,
literally called that Devastator.
yeah,
that Dreadnought.
we literally called that
joking about it.
Dreadnought out in a joke we made on this podcast like 3 months ago. We did not expect. Do you think, because we know someone at GW listens to us, they're like,
We're sorry, by the way.
shit.
How do they know?
How do they know?
Where's our leak? Let's plug it.
When really, I just wanted to make a joke about stealthy Space Marines. I didn't expect them to make the Avatar robot. It looks so cool, though. And
All right.
yeah,
I
The only
Like-
thing we're plugging is, Best Coast pairings over here, guys. So just so
Yeah.
you know.
just so you know, yeah.
the
But we're too excited about that drug ad.
I'm,
So
not a, I'm not a fan
We are excited about that.
of the Open Rider. All right. I want
hey, we
more
got a beautiful plane flying across here.
to drown me out.
Yeah, it's just perfect timing.
Soothing.
It's just so soothing.
Yeah, nothing more soothing than transcontinental flights.
Yeah.
So I wish there was more plating covering him up. I'm not just a fan of the roll cage.
Okay. I get that.
That's me.
Yeah,
As far as the big iron on his hip, fucking love it.
Yes.
Love the fact that you can model him holding it gangster style. Okay?
you can have him holding 2 gangster style.
No, because he's only got one power.
No,
fist.
he has 2.
he only has one, dude.
He only
No?
got one.
I swear to God, I saw a picture.
That's a meme picture.
Yeah, it's a meme.
Oh, I don't care. I'm making him that way.
Okay. Anyway,
John's buying 2 kits to make one model.
to make
Okay.
one bad.
I have made worse purchases in my life before.
Yeah, me too. I can't even.
So have I.
Yeah.
It's on its way here now.
You know what's great about it is a heavy bolter turns into a pistol weapon in close combat.
Yeah, no,
Hilarious.
that's freaking awesome. And he's just with feet, I guess, kicking stuff,
And-
and
and-
then just
Sure. And rules wise, just a model that you can have hang out and cover somewhere if you
Infiltrate?
want to, and infiltrate,
Yeah.
to be in a good position on turn 1, and just bully an objective man with him.
Yeah.
He's good for that, I think.
from a serious
And
competitive standpoint, he
and,
is very powerful.
back him up with a squad of infiltrators so that they can't deep strike around him too, and
Right.
then that's another thing that you have going on.
Yeah, it's very, very good.
I am a fan of his machine gun jubblies, though, that he's got there.
Oh, yeah, the titty cannons.
He's got instead of titty stormbolters or titty frag launchers,
Titty stabbers.
he's got titty stubbers.
Hell yeah.
I think that's great.
I'd have titty
They're
stubbers.
very
Somebody
stealthy.
goes, So
The stubber is a
Tom-
stealthy weapon.
There's them silencers.
Tom Walton is the GW designer that designed Repulsor and the original Redemptor. Now, I feel like he got loaded on Four Loko and started watching two different movies. Like he was trying to watch Avatar and
Aliens.
Austin Power at the same time, and just was sketching and woke up like, "Holy shit!" This
Or
is
maybe
amazing.
he got like a mid-year review he didn't agree with. So he was like, fine, I'm not imaginative enough. Titty cannons.
What do you have to say about that,
What do you have to say about that?
Magnus?
They're like, we love it. Oh, cool.
What? No.
Whoops.
What? No. And then they gave it to the rules writers who were like, "Look at this motherfucker. We got to write rules for this thing. Super good."
I was thinking maybe he's like, man, I've used really all the places that I can put a gun. Where else could I put it? Oh, the boobs.
I just imagine the process that goes into Primaris vehicle design is they take like a 3D mock-up they've made in their program to like Rick Priestley, who's like overloading 40K with John Blanche. And then they're just like, I'm sorry, is that a bare surface? Yes. Place a heavy weapon on it immediately. All of the guns.
I can't. You know what? We really like this tank, but unfortunately, I see some open spots there where you can fit some grenade launchers.
They're like, sir,
I'm
that's
gonna
a
need you to put at least 5 frag launchers on this before it's acceptable.
Sir,
What if
that-
they don't want to put frag launchers on it, sir? That's pretty expensive. Call them auto launchers. Give them
Jeez.
smoke.
sir, that's a door.
Cowards.
It is a smoke launcher panel that moves.
That poor Space Marine that moves that door flops down on the repulsor. He's the first one out, and it just accidentally blows up underneath his feet.
I just imagine that each of
They call him
those
Gassy Gary.
each of
Nobody
those
likes
graph
him.
tanks only has one gunner who's just frantically running in circles the entire battle.
I'd pref-
He's spinning in a circle on the inside. Just like he's pressing buttons manically.
you know he's sitting on one of those computer chairs that's really oiled well up, and he's like, "All right, we've done our movement. Start your spin," and he just kicks and just goes as fast as he can in a circle with one hand.
I'm in
out.
battle mode. Don't distract me, brothers.
He's just got his hands out, dragging him around.
Or he's just like that WoW nerd from South Park who's just like sitting, leaning back, just clicking one finger, like click, 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 click.
God help him if he's got Bobby G giving him rerolls. He's got to spin a second time.
Oh god, the boss is watching. Spinning it, spinning it, spinning it.
Don't miss.
Oh, but yes. Yeah. What else are you excited for there, Dave, for Space Marines?
So, the name of them.
Incursors.
Are you
right?
worried
Yes,
about
the
this being your
Incursors.
last Space Marine Codex?
Oh, it will be at this point. Yeah, for sure. I will die before the next one comes out.
Yeah, that's what we all took bets on.
Yeah, I know I'm in that pool.
Yeah. Oh, good. I'm glad.
I'm keeping myself alive.
I wasn't sure if you were or not.
I don't have insurance. I got to make sure the wife is taken care of. Thing keeps going up. So we made a joke about the names all being the same: intercessors, inceptors, infiltrators. The very next day, they're like, "Here's another I word," and I was like, "Come on,
Incursors?
incursors."
Incurers? I don't know.
Incursors. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, he's got it pulled up. I like them, but I think I like the infiltrator build style better. But then I haven't seen them on the tabletop. I haven't seen all of their rules yet. I am excited for one thing about them, and that is you can lay enough mines on the tabletop to just dish out. Hey, Danny, how do you like your Lord Discordance? Cool. Have some fucking mines.
Here's a haywire mine.
Yeah, so
bitch.
the
Come
haywire
get
mine.
some haywire mines.
The first enemy unit to move within 3 inches of a haywire mine takes D3 mortal wounds or D3 plus 1 if it's a vehicle. That's dumb. You know what else is dumb about that unit that I'm excited for? The Oculus bolt carbines.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, no modifiers. Huh?
No modifiers.
Sorry, dude.
Man, as someone who owns like 30 Eldar Rangers, well, it's no cover saves is a thing on there.
Oh, just their thing on their back makes it no modifiers.
Right. So the multi-spectrum arrays prevent them from suffering any negative modifiers. So I'm like, cool.
Because they have those cool guy visors like the lieutenant has.
And this is sort of like where I'm coming from with like my army about, okay,
I will
well,
admit, it looks like somebody just took the Eldar gunner head and slapped it.
Oh,
on an
yeah,
infiltrator
kind of.
model.
I could
was
see
like,
that.
oh no, what is that? That looks familiar.
they had like 3
Fucking
spaces
Jordy
left.
over there.
They had 3 spaces left on the
Who wore
sprue.
it best?
And they were like, what can we fit on there? I'm like, fucking Eldar heads. I'm like, genius, Walton. That mid-year review really inspired you.
He's sitting there so hungover, just making a joke. I don't know. Eldar heads, maybe.
Love it.
Love it.
But those guys are going to be really good. And honestly, like the Incursors are another reason why I'm moving away from just like Plague Bearer spam, because there's so many things in the game now that just cool. Negative modifiers, I don't care.
And I'm excited for wanting to take chaplains. Chaplains make me excited with getting the ability to have litanies, same as the Dark Disciples for Chaos do. I haven't seen them yet. I am just excited to have a reason to want to take chaplains in a gunline style army.
Sure.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm super excited about, well, my first one I was going to talk about was the Incursor, which, like I said, I think is a solid build. It's a really good distraction irritation unit.
Yep.
I think infiltrators fall into that same category though as well, because you can't deep strike around them. They auto wound on 6s.
But I think for me, like if I'm coming up against this army and there's an Incursor squad on the table, I have to take care of that squad. Like I have to get rid, because it's ignoring my saves, it's ignoring my modifiers. They just need to go.
It's not it doesn't ignore your save, does it?
Depending on what they're shooting at, it does.
Okay.
I'm also super excited actually for the Impulsor.
Oh yeah, me too. Like hard excited about that.
I am a huge fan of finally seeing a vehicle with a goddamn invuln save for Primaris.
Well, so here's the deal
That's
with the
pretty good.
Impulsor, right? It's another I-word Primaris unit that again we just had that transparency to see earlier.
We're fucking smart people.
But it only has a transport capacity of 6.
Okay, I'm cool with it.
You cool with it?
I'm cool with it.
Okay.
Like it's 6, and I kind of figured it was 6.
I was
going to
say I think that's what I thought it would
because like
be.
we talked about it on like in our chat like ahead of time when we saw the picture. I'm like, how many models do you guys think that holds? And people were like, oh yeah, 10. And some people were like, oh man, it's going to be like 12 models. Like, and I'm like,
no, it doesn't look that big.
I said 6 to 8 because it's smaller than a repulsor, and a repulsor fits 10.
So I want to play some White Scars. Like I want to bust out my White Scars that I haven't played in like forever.
Hooray!
Yeah. Guess what? I've got those. Anyway.
I know.
So
that was a sad hooray. That was not a happy
I
hooray.
want to get like a couple of Impulsors, throw some dudes in there, and just have them, because that rule, the assault vehicle rule, is so cool.
Yeah.
Like, and just being able to like roll up, pop out, blow some dudes away with like intercessors, super good. Or potentially maybe some aggressors would be good in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be cool.
So it does have the assault vehicle rule, which means after you move it, you can disembark, which is huge, which is a rule I think, Danny, we both want to see applied to other similar transports.
Absolutely. I'd love to see a Falcon with that rule.
Yeah.
Like that would make the Falcon like actually good.
Yeah, for sure. And as someone who owns like multiple Falcons, I
have
totally
3
agree with
Falcons.
you.
We don't have any Falcon sound effects. At best, I think we could do is a cat. Is there one that's like called a tiger or anything?
It also has an option that you can do that'll do like the orbital comms array is another option for it, which kind of takes that old stratagem away and puts it on there. But it's going to be a tough choice because you can either have a 4-up invulnerable save, which is pretty rad, or you can take more guns.
It's a 4-up invuln every single time for me. I'm sorry on those.
I mean, and honestly, that's going to depend on the points. Like an iron,
agreed with that. Hardcore agreed.
And an Iron Hail Sky Talon, like some like solid anti-air. If you're looking for 100% Primaris army,
all right, so that's not going to be solid anti-air. I'm sorry, the Sky Talon, that's the missile launcher option, right?
No, that's a
specific
autocannon or heavy stubber. Not sure.
All right, so it's going to be like the twin Icarus that's on the back of the Executioner.
possibly.
Okay, maybe.
Would be my guess. Honestly, that's what I thought. Where is that?
I think it's going to be better than that.
I think it's going to be better than that. I think there's going to be some weird modifier like the back of that tank where it's like it's +1 hit against fly or something stupid like that.
I think for sure it'll have that stuff.
Yeah.
I just wonder if it's going to be like strength 7 -1/2 damage. That would be where it's at.
That would
like
be
autocannons.
very solid.
It's an Iron Hail, so everything so far that has been Iron Hail has been literally strength 5.
Isn't the new gun on the pseudo dreadnought called an Iron Hail?
Is it?
Yep.
I don't know. I didn't look at that. I read stuff. I don't look at the pictures.
But I think that's great. And I think what the important thing is from these model releases, and it's not a huge amount of releases. It's like one option to an existing kit, moving the 2 units from the Shadow Spear box to kind of the multi-part unit.
Yeah.
Huge fan of that.
And 2 vehicles. And that's literally all that's being added. But now Primaris is such a scary army.
And characters.
I was going to say that's
and the characters coming too.
Tiggy, Khan.
Oh man, the Khan. That bird.
That bird is 6 feet tall.
Why did that bird get Primera sized? That's what I want to know.
How can he hold up that bird? That bird's like 180 pounds.
First of all, the bird has got to be 4 feet tall at most.
Okay.
No.
Because he's like 8 feet tall. That's what a Space Marine is in power armor.
Yeah, he was.
A Primaris
Space
Marine.
Marine is like 12 feet tall, motherfucker.
No, they're not 12 feet tall. God.
I'm sorry, do you have an all Primaris purple army?
Yeah.
No, I guess I don't.
There you go.
Boom, roasted.
Boom,
Okay,
roasted.
got him. All right. So anyway,
I can't drop the
a
mic.
normal eagle
Yeah,
is
please don't.
A normal eagle can be like that tall.
Don't
But
get
do
me
you
wrong.
hold one on your wrist?
I'm not a Primaris Marine.
I mean, hold on.
No, you're not.
So yes, you can 100% hold other birds of prey.
Yeah,
but
they're-
that,
so
Wait.
he probably only weighs like 30 pounds at the most.
yeah, you can totally hold them on your arm, birds of prey.
Are you saying you can hold
No,
a 6 foot
not
tall,
me. I've been
180
to the-
pound eagle on your arm?
It's not 180 pounds.
Wait, figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay, I will.
Use the water test. You can actually see if Khan is the witch while you're at it.
But beautiful new character models.
So good.
I think
Dave is just staring me the fuck down right now. Like, try me, bitch. I know all about Primaris.
like I know we were
You
joking.
want stats? You want lore? What? Bring it to me. If
Go
this
to
was-
another
if this was-
podcast.
If this was Jeopardy of Primaris, I'd be the one sitting there at 22,000 right now going into the final.
You would be the
question.
one that would be like, yeah, the questions were just really badly written, and I really should have done better, and it's the fault of the board for asking me the wrong things.
Well, that's a shame that I was going to spend some of my money to buy you baby's second podcasting board, but now you get nothing.
No, I literally need nothing else for podcasting now.
Ever again.
Ever again.
Wouldn't you like to have more buttons to put more sound effects on, though?
That's why my laptop's hooked
Can you
up
have a
here.
button extender to that? Is that a feature?
Yeah, I mean, probably.
Button board.
But I know we joked before in the past about other characters being primarified and the kind of other units kind of being updated in that way.
I I think we actually had legit conversations about who else should be
Yeah,
Primaris side.
but
And I don't
honestly-
think those two were like people we even thought about.
You know, I didn't expect Tigurius. And like when I was writing that little pharma sketch for you, Danny, that's why I joked about second founding chapters don't get primarified because they're kind of sticking to that core. And I think looking at the way they're releasing...
Wait. You wrote that? I thought that was a legit ad paid for by a sponsor.
Oh, no, yeah. We bring in literally no money to this show. If someone wants...
From advertising.
I will literally... If you send me a 30-second clip of you farting into a microphone, but you give me $5 an episode to run it, I will run it every time.
Oh, man, we would totally run.
Every time.
That's true.
I will
We'll even
sell
add-
out so quickly.
We'll add some background music to it. Like, it'll make it nice.
We'll
Where's
make it
the
nice.
Space Clown music? That would go well with it.
We call this episode Varying Loudness of White Claw. But I love the choices they made. At Tigurius, I think it's strange going for like another Ultramarine so quickly. But like he's held such a high position in that chapter for so long
Okay.
that it makes sense.
So
I
I think there's going to be some more ones coming out very soon
I
that
think
we haven't
with,
seen yet.
with the 8 different Codexi, Codex is coming out.
So, do we think that the Iron Father could be somebody?
He's a special character.
He's actually a special name character. They just haven't figured it out yet.
I don't know what his name is.
I think we see.
Apparently he's really good.
I think we see a new
Obviously,
Lysander.
he is. He's an Iron Hand.
I think we'll see a Lysander. I think we're going to see a Pedro.
You think a Pedro?
Hell yeah.
Cantor, ooh,
Dude, wouldn't that be a rad
that
model,
would
though?
be amazing. But I think we're seeing a new Lysander because that model, while amazing, is very old now.
I was thinking about him, right?
Mhm.
Do you think he'll be in Gravis armor? Or what do you think he'll be?
I think
Who,
he'll be an
Pedro?
aggressor.
No.
Lysander.
Lysander.
I think he'll be an aggressor.
Yeah, so Gravis armor.
Yeah, Gravis armor aggressor.
I think we will not see any Dark Angels. I don't think any of the Dark Angels.
Not until they get a new book.
When they get their own
Well,
book,
no, I just don't know that they do it.
I think they will.
From a lore standpoint.
I think they will.
You think Azzy would go through with it?
Hell yeah.
I think they will because those models are 23 years old now.
Oh my god, dude. Asriel is so he's at least maybe older than that.
Yeah, 95, 96. He's one of the
I think
first
he
second
came
edition
out
characters.
with
Second
Angels of
edi-
Death.
Yeah, Angels of Death in second edition.
Jeez.
All of their special characters came out in second edition,
Yeah.
which is like Azrael, Ezekiel.
They did do a new sculpt for Belial and a new sculpt for Asmodai with the last Dark Angels book that came out in 7th edition
Oh yeah.
or 6th edition.
But still, when most of your named
Still.
characters,
Yeah.
I think lore-wise, something big is going to happen to the Dark Angels, which is going to force them to
Which is why they won't get any new models, because the Lion's going to wake up and be like, fuck, what is this Primaris bullshit?
Primarify this
God, I
bitch.
hope so.
God. But yeah, so that's what
They can't have Primaris after that.
Yeah, that's what we're excited about. If you look for more about the new Codex Space Marines, you can find that on our YouTube page, where Danny and Dave are going to do an amazing review of the entire book, show you some neat tips and tricks to throw out day one with that, and make sure to pre-order that and get all of your Space Marine stuff ready.
Yeah, I hope it
Holy
comes
fuck.
out.
We've got the email says it's coming, right?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, man. So when Dave's up editing at like 1 in the morning with an hour to go.
There are 3 books coming that you're going to make us that we have to do.
Yeah, so Dave's going to have a great review
Call
up
the
on our
wife.
YouTube page of the White Scars, of the Ultramarines, and of Codex Space Marines. And they're going to figure out tricks to help you win by taking 3 shitty tanks and 1 Primarch. Click here to find out more.
Dude, I'm the best. I took first place at another tournament.
First off, stop with the thunder and lightning. You don't impress me. And second, let me check out the BCP rankings. And I don't see you on there.
What?
Your TO needs to download the Best Coast Pairings app and run events on it. After the event, the results are uploaded into BCP rankings, and the best part, it's easy and free.
But I play multiple game systems.
No big deal. The BCP app can be used for any game. A ton of events every weekend are using it, from major international tournaments to local stores. And now that it's available on Android devices, you're going to have some serious competition.
There can be only one.
BCP Rankings is a fun and exciting way to measure how you or your team stack up. No matter what you play, your score goes to an overall ranking. Or compete to be the best in a game, a circuit, a region, or the world.
Download the app or visit www.bestcoastpairings.com for more info.
Best Coast Pairings.
Are you the best?
Yes, I am. Well, technically, Dave's better than I am. And Danny's better than both of us.
Gonna get that
All
as
true.
a sound clip. It's gonna be my ringtone for John.
I mean, that's a shitload of work. 1 hour, 16, and 14 seconds.
You know
by the
that
way.
he's going to apply that to everything, like not just 40K.
What, just being better than me?
Yeah,
Man.
I mean, which
Well,
is
you know,
not true.
my district really needs more people who are really good at my level. So I don't mind him being better at my job than I am, because that will in turn make my job easier
That's because I pulled myself up.
by your
By your
bootstraps. Oh, so before we begin, and now we're ready to go.
I'm ready. I'm hyped.
So, Spear of the Emperor by Aaron Debsky Bowden is our first real specific look into Imperium Nihilus, the dark side of the Imperium, beyond the great Cicatrix Maledictum, beyond the light of the Emperor,
Yeah.
just no man's land in this crazy kind of war-torn place. It's described as the Emperor's Spears, or Chapter on the Edge of Destruction, the last watchman over the Alaris's Veil Nebula. Now, the decisions of one man, Amadeus Caius Incarius of the Mentor Legion, will determine the chapter's fate. I'm going to start by saying, 1, spoilers ahead.
Oh yeah, for sure. If you don't want any spoilers, don't stop.
If you have not read this book, but you plan on reading this book, thank you for your download. Thank you for letting me blow out your speakers with White Claw. Go away. There's a lot in this book that's going to be spoiled going forward. We're now going to go and kind of describe the plot point by point. We're kind of going to go over some high notes, our impressions, and some things like that.
what we liked about the book.
What we loved about the book,
I don't-
because there's a lot there. Dave, sorry, you were saying?
No, I was gonna say I don't think there was. I was trying to think of something that I didn't like about the book.
There's 1 or 2 things that could be said, but we'll go into that. But
Okay.
Spear of the Emperor, I'm going to start by saying it is a very typical Aaron Debsky Bowden book.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, and that's
I like-
not, that isn't a negative. He likes what he likes, and this is a very kind of set character piece to help kind of describe the greater environment of Imperium Nihilus.
I like his use of other characters to like show what life is like in the 41st millennium.
Yeah.
Like he takes it from a different view. So this book is mostly from the view of
Oh, it's 100% from the
Right,
view
right.
of one of the thralls.
right
So-
of the Mentor Legion Marine.
Yeah. So one of the things I like about this book is that after it was written, Aaron, we'll just refer to him as ADB from now on. Adaba said this was not the book he started out writing, but he's glad it's the book he'd finished.
Sure.
So like he had this idea in his head and then it just took it and went. And I really think the execution through this all the way to the end actually made me care more about the plight of what was going on in there and made me want to be like, I'm going to make some Emperor Spears models right now.
Yeah, I know, right?
I actually want to make some Celestial Lions models.
Yeah.
We'll get to I had a thought about the Celestial Lions, and I kind of really want to.
Okay.
I agree with you, but only because of the voice acting for me.
As Dave says, and Danny said it follows Honorata, which is a thrall and a slave, pretty much, to a member of the Mentors chapter. This chapter is being thrown from the good side of the Imperium through the rift to the Imperium Nihilus. And what I really loved, first off, about this book was the description of that journey and just quite how difficult it is.
Devastating. It was.
Devastating.
I liken it to any of the great explorers crossing the seas, like one of the Ericssons early on of the Vikings coming into the American shores from over there in Denmark and sailing across, and like you just got that guy standing there on the helm like, we can do it, and people are falling over sideways, dying.
Sure.
Half the crew is dead by the time they get there.
Or like sailors trying to get around the tip of South America, like in the Roaring 40s, and like it just being like the worst possible weather you can think of, and like ships sinking, whales ramming your ship, that kind of stuff. Like,
So
just
I think they say
happens.
they started with a complement of like 50,000 on the ship, and they lost.
Well, yeah, that just crew though. It
Of
was
just crew.
Just crew. No, like they didn't bring militia with them. They didn't bring a ton of us. It was one Space Marine, his 3 bodyguard or 3 armor thralls and or / helpers, and then this ship with all of its crew.
Right.
So
it also let me see in a cool way in that respect, like the support that one Space Marine can receive.
Yeah.
And like the Mentor Legion is always like, it's traditionally been depicted as being like they use like advanced technology and they have like a little bit like cutting edge or customized equipment.
Right, they're kind of like big brothers, big sisters. Like they go out and they help other lesser Space Marine chapters get better.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, and he follows the fluff here pretty well. I mean, that's what they were designed to do.
Yeah.
And
but going through the Cicatrix, they lost a third of their crew, and their ship got very much messed up going through. And I like this because this sort of explains, like, to me, like headcanon wise, I'm looking at it and we're looking at things like Vigilus, where like, oh yeah, this is a stable route. And I'm like, well, where the fuck is Calgar and Abaddon? Why is everyone there fighting for this one thing? But when you look at what is considered a stable route, which is what was taken by the mentors here, that kills 15,000 people getting through. That kind of shows the importance of these routes and kind of holding these shipping lanes. They describe how they use the dead as fuel for the spaceships.
Right.
One of the things I liked was because it's a retelling. Like we know, like from all the Eisenhorn series, he goes back to it's like, oh, I'm telling you this tale, so obviously I'm still alive.
Yeah.
So this tale is 100% told by Anarata to the current sitting master of the Emperor Spears, Vardon. Sorry,
Van Doonies. That's his name.
Okay.
So Van Doonies, she's telling him. He's like, tell me a tale. Record it. What are you going to tell me about? And so she's retelling this story to him. So obviously she's lived a good long life. So that she's going to survive, which is unfortunately one of those things that is like great storytelling, but at the same time also bad storytelling. Because if
I feel
that it lessens a lot of the danger that the characters could get in.
Okay.
I feel the way it's written, though, is everyone around her is put into a lot of danger, but I never felt that she was in danger, if that makes sense.
And did we read the same book?
Yeah, well, because if you look at it, everyone where there's kind of major danger, so like when they're going in against the Pure and the Warp.
That's what you say when somebody comes up and touches you.
When she's going up against the Pure aboard the ship in the Warp, and she's going up against these people, like other people around her are being injured and hurt, and I'm worried about other people around her.
Right,
And the same thing kind
They
of
don't
later
have,
on.
They don't have invulnerable plot armor, so
Right. So like that's the good thing that Bowden does with this book here is we do have the thing of the narrator kind of telling us that she survives, but every single scene that she's in where there is a danger, she's surrounded by other people.
And that also doesn't mean that she can't get hurt, and she does quite frequently throughout the book as well.
Oh yeah, she's terrible at combat.
she's the worst at it.
What? Okay.
So
all
I'm
right.
surprised she
Sure.
made it to be able to tell the tale. Actually, when it came down to it, I was like, "There's no way she lives."
She's just a voice
this-
box left
I
over.
was like, "Is this just it's a record? It's just running around on wax that he just set it on there." He was like, "Tell me a story."
The other thing I liked going through this book here is how seriously the Imperium treats the cicatrix. Like they mentioned at the start, how anyone who looks at it is shot on sight.
Well, they've been saying that for a while in a lot of different
Just in
books,
case.
though.
But I mean, they've been saying that for a while, but there's Anurata as a slave, and she says several times she's a slave. She says she has executed several people that she has seen look at it. So it's like literally not just
She did it with
officers.
around
There's
the world snap, though.
there's no like rank or like, oh no, you looked at it, now I have to go tell the cops. It's kind of like, no, if I see Danny look at it, I'm like, well shit, now I have to shoot Danny because he looked at the cicatrix.
Right.
Like that
Hey,
level
Danny,
of
could you
accountability.
look at the cicatrix for me?
I don't have a gunshot
Dave
sound.
killed me.
Yeah.
Danny's are fully gay.
Oh
He's not
no!
gonna
You know
shoot
what? You're just gonna have to use instead of a gunshot.
Yeah. Ooh, pain.
That worked. It's gonna be the
Stop.
It's the next. It's the
Stop!
next.
No more.
It's gonna
no
be the
more
next-
White Claw.
It's gonna be the next Wilhelm scream every time in that movie.
Oh man. But yeah, so there's it's taken very seriously. They get out, and they come across the system that is being protected by the Spears of the Emperor, or that they believe is being, which is Alara's Veil.
So you have the Spears of the Emperor and the Celestial Lions form the protectors of the Veil,
Yes.
and that Veil VEIL.
Like Voltron if it was made from shitty Space Marine chapters.
Well, and there's a third chapter, but they're dead.
Yeah.
So there was a third chapter.
Right.
So the Star Scorpions.
Oh, that's their name. Yeah.
Star Scorpions were banished to, according to historical records or something like that. They did something terrible, and so did the Celestial Lions. Celestial Lions slighted the Inquisition. The Inquisition punished them by taking half of their stuff, and they're trying to make them work better.
It's way more than that.
Okay, something along those lines.
Well, so in Armageddon, they specifically sniped all their apothecaries and destroyed their gene seed for reporting the Inquisition for doing like some like shady shit. And so they crossed the Inquisition, and the Inquisition like set up snipers during battles where they're fighting orcs just to kill off the Celestial Lions.
The Star Scorpions also had a flaw in their gene seed.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So they led themselves on a crusade similar to like the Karkadons or a lot of other chapters who were just like, well, we're gonna go crusade until we're done. So they disappeared to the warp, so they're gone.
That's a good callback to Armageddon. I totally spaced by that until
Oh,
you
yeah,
said
dude.
it. Yeah.
ADB also wrote a book about Armageddon where there's a single Celestial Lion that works with Grimaldus quite a bit in the oh god, what's the name of it? Anyway, that's a good book too.
Yeah.
You should read that one.
Yeah.
He's a good author.
So you have these 3 chapters, one of which is now gone into the warp to crusade into the what is it? The Well of Souls? Not the Well of Souls. That's World
Just the
of
warp.
Warcraft. No,
Yeah.
they call it something of the souls. Actually,
It's
a
Well
lot.
of
They're-
Souls, but I think that's
Is it
just
Well of
a
Souls?
phrase to the warp.
You're the Eye of Terror.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're in there crusading or dead. Everybody just assumes they're dead.
Yep.
To the point,
It's kind of
where-
like going crusading into the warp is sort of like your dad's gone out to buy cigarettes of the 40K universe.
You're never coming back.
That's fair.
My chapter will come back from crusade soon.
The
No,
Star
he
Scorpions
won't.
have been gone long
Oh,
enough.
sorry, that was the comment about your dad. Yeah, so Star Scorpions Crusade. No, it's
Yep.
cool.
So
Yep. So they go on a crusade. They get, and then when they do come back,
well, they're not coming. Reading the book, you don't know that they're coming back, so they're gone. But the Mentor Legion wears the exact same colors. The difference is instead of a
Correct.
scorpion on their shoulder pad, they now have the eagle. They were given all of their placing and rank and everything else
Right.
from that, so they wear it. So in Carius, the Mentor is constantly referred to as false scorpion. and with malice, actually, which
they really don't like him very much.
Which is interesting, until you keep reading the book, and they explain why a little bit later. So,
you know what's crazy to me about this book? The Emperor's Spears are an Ultramarine successor.
Okay.
But they don't come across, well, I mean, they sort of do, but like they don't come across very, the Codex Astartes does not support this action. So while there's some traditional, like,
I think that's just like the Ultramarines, though. I don't think all Ultramarine successors are like that.
Right.
A lot of them are.
They're very tribal. Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's
because they're homeworld.
Yeah, they take that. A lot of chapters reflect their homeworlds themselves. So you have this Nemeton world, which, if you listen to the audiobook like I did, apparently is covered in Russians, because that's the way she.
Oh
she
yeah,
posted.
yeah. I also listened to the audiobook.
So-
They're all Russian accented.
Which was weird to me, because it's like, they're very tribal. Like you go and they do this stuff, shamans and all sorts of different stuff, and then
I was like, is this a White Scars book?
And then you hear her voice in it, and it's like, Anuradha, just get some vodka, and you're just like, what is happening here? That's not how I picture tribal people. I mean,
well, so they tried to set up on their world like a traditional Ultramarines
Right.
culture.
yeah,
Yeah, they
but it-
imported marble and things like that.
Yeah, they have tons of the ruins and stuff left behind, but the world itself was just too harsh to.
Well, the people were like, "This is stupid. We're not doing this
Yeah.
anymore."
So
Yeah, because you have a tribal cannibalistic culture, and they're like, look at our beautiful marble buildings, and they're like, yeah, this is dumb. We're not doing this.
you guys are idiots.
I just want to eat somebody. And then like, there's all these giant sea monsters in the ocean, and yeah.
Nom, nom, nom.
So they're fair.
Half the complement traveled through the warp, make it out the other side in his spaceship. Incarius,
Sure.
there's like 12 people left on the ship.
So
Three
they
of them
go
are-
into this
three of
ongoing
them-
war, right?
Yeah. So they show up. I like that they get hailed, right? And he's like, False Scorpion, we're going to board you. And he's like,
It's a very
Go
good
ahead.
Russian accent.
thank you.
Okay.
I just listened to it.
Ooh, that's all of our Russian listeners stopping right now.
They're unsubscribing.
So 2?
Yeah, no, 2 of
Zero.
them.
Actually, it's 0.
Now it is.
Now it is. So they board him and talk to him, and they're like, we shall see. And they take him to a tribal gathering back on Nemagost, the planet, right?
Nemeton.
Thank you. And it just shows that the Space Marines interacting with the people of the planet. Like, the last time I can really remember reading about hanging out with the people on the planet of your own homeworld for Space Marines was like, I don't know, the Deathwing short story.
I don't want to. I'm glad that that's not a thing anymore. Nobody likes Marine
I will
slick.
flip this fucking table.
Nobody likes Marine slick weasel.
Then you would have to buy baby second board if you flip this table.
Well, I'm going down to play in the 10K tournament. I'm going to win it with the Ultramarines. So it's fine. But yeah, I like that the parents will not let boys look at them for fear of them.
Yeah, they
taking
actually
them.
don't like the Space Marines, which is an interesting thing.
Yeah, it's
So-
because the Space Marines come and just kind of take the kids away.
right, and they
Just
think
the boys.
and they think that they're and they think that they're ghosts, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
So they go into like this war zone, right? Like, and the Mentor Legion is supposed to be there to see like what kind of aid that they can render to them, or like how it fares, like what their disposition is, like how the war is going over there, and
Yep.
things like that. Not necessarily to like actually give them support.
So he was Incarius Blart Mall Cop, basically. Observe and Report Edition.
Up until the very end, I'm like, well, that's a bullshit reason to send one Space Marine to the other side of the rift.
Well, you don't want to
No.
risk a ton of stuff. Human lives, that's fine. Ship's crew, no problem. But that armor's
Space Marine.
expensive.
Yeah.
One thing I saw here, going kind of back to Amadeus, was that the sheath on his his sword sheath is made from human skin. And they mentioned several times in the book about leather in 40K being made of human skin and the flesh of slaves.
That's totally the cheapest way to make
Which
it.
makes me feel super guilty about all the fucking pouches I've ever painted on my models.
So none.
No, like all my Imperial fists have leather pouches because snakebite leather. I just didn't realize snakebite was the name of a slave. It's been sad.
Come on.
That took me a minute.
Don't laugh at that.
No, that
God
was
damn it.
good. That was good.
No.
I mean, it was
Dave.
bad. It was really
Dave.
bad, but it was good.
It was good in his badness.
All right. So we're at the war zone. We
Yes.
lead off to it. We observe this thing.
Oh yeah, and they
We
also
go,
tell him straight up, "We're taking your ship."
Oh yeah, your ship
Like,
is mine
thanks
now.
for the ship.
Hey, guess what? We have been fighting this battle for over 100 years. We've sent people back to try to get in contact with you and go, hey guys, things not so well over here. Nothing ever made it through.
Right.
You were telling us you made it through to us? No, we don't believe you. So they take him down to the planet. They do the thing. They visit a witch doctor and get a prophecy,
Yeah,
Sure.
which is
Yep.
cool, I thought. And the thing that I liked the most about this particular scene on the planet was Anurata gets sent out to go explore because obviously they're there to observe and figure stuff out. She finds herself a tomb of Space Marines and goes and investigates it. And she finds in there the Space Marines that didn't survive becoming Primaris.
Right. They're like mutated skeletons and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Because we find out the primerification process is really freaking tough.
I know, regular Space Marine process, not tough at all by comparison. And that's not, the Calgarian effect either. It's going through the Rubicon Primaris. That's the beginning from human to Primaris. So if you think that, going to regular Space Marine from human is rough, obviously going from regular human to Primaris has got to be even better, like almost twice 2 attacks and 2 wounds worth of harder to do,
Sure.
I bet they're over 2 meters tall now too.
Probably, yeah.
Probably.
Wish I was a little bit taller.
And I like that she meets the first man to survive, even though he didn't make it completely through the process.
I'm like, yes,
still a
survival
mutant.
is.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I wouldn't call him a mutant. He's just deformed, I guess.
Okay.
I mean,
He survived the process, but the process
severely
did
damaged him.
not worry. So yeah, he is not combat ready at all.
But they still utilize him as a captain on one of their ships, which is pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he is legitimately the guy that runs the ship. So I think that's pretty badass.
So they support differently abled people, which is pretty cool.
Well, they just keep him around
It's a
because he was
Imperium Nihilus is a progressive place.
It is. It's really impressive.
Dante runs
well, and you find out later why they kept him around because the whole reason they took the ship when it got there was because they're so strapped
they're starved for resources.
They're so strapped for cash. Like one of the comments in the book that struck me as odd was they're mining their own system.
Right.
And you just don't do that as a Space Marine chapter. You don't take resources from your own area because that's a last resort.
I don't know about that, man.
That was in the book. I mean,
I think they meant literal mines though in their system.
Yeah.
And their book was their system was full of space mines. And like you don't do that. But they can't defend their system anymore.
Okay.
but you have the Celestial Lions, and the war hosts are actually led by the Celestial Lions. Like
right.
They're the
Alliance
leaders.
for Alara's Veil or whatever.
So they head off to a planet to clear it from the Ecclesiarchy, who is the bad
who's gone traitor.
Yeah, the bad chaos guys, humans or whatever.
Yeah, that confused me for a few minutes when I'm like, wait, the church is the bad guy? But I'm like, no, it's not.
Right. So they're the renegades and heretics, and they're slowly working their way through the system, taking over planets.
And they weren't, right? They were just normal Imperial citizens, and they're like, we can't fight these guys. Like, we just want support from you. That's the only reason we turned. We wanted you to
Yeah, and
help
the
us.
thing is, they didn't necessarily turn. Well, they think they're doing what the Imperium wants them to do.
Right.
Which is something that the pure, which is kind of the traitor Marines in this book here, call out. They're like, hey, this is what we were told to do. It wasn't working when we were doing it this way. So this is how we're doing it now.
Yep.
So they drop down the planet. They get engaged. Obviously, the spears. This was interesting to me. So they have X number of Imperial Guard units on the planet that are fighting. The spears use themselves because they're such a highly sought after resource. They use themselves only in specific strike forces and hitting certain targets. They're not on the front lines with the guard leading them. And that's where the mentor Incarius was. Like, he was there.
Yeah, he was leading the guard.
He was giving them advice and helping them go along without just basically doing it for
Would you
them.
say he mentored them?
I would, yes.
Okay.
You know what's crazy about it though? What I really liked about this battle scene on the planet where you have the Amadeus kind of going in and doing his part is seeing how him and his slaves work as a unit. Like,
Right.
This was super unique to me because I'm assuming Space Marine, you have like your helmet and you have sensors on your suit and that kind of tells you what the thing is. He is employing his 3 slaves as pretty much spotters for him.
Yeah,
So
they're hanging out in his rhino.
they're hanging out in his rhino. They're looking around. They're double checking. Okay, so hey,
Servo skulls. Dude.
Right.
They're all operating like 3 or 4 servo
yeah,
skulls
and they're
each.
like, okay, you have a sniper up in this tower. You have a unit over in this tower here, and he's getting all this data, and that's how he's making his tactical decisions. And I'm like, wow, that's super cool. Of course, like in a culture like the Imperium, which they don't trust AI. Like, what's a better AI or like a better alternative to that than just having people telling you like what's going on?
Yeah.
Sure.
So
Well, it's like, more modern military style,
Oh yeah,
which was cool.
right. So obviously Spears and the mentors and the guard.
they lost.
Yep, they lost. Everybody's dead, and that's the end of the book.
End of the book. It was really depressing.
So this has been a mob rules, except for the Anurata, because she's telling it now to the new one.
no, she still died. That's the twist. It's like 6 cents.
Bum, bum, bum. That's a lie. All of that was a lie.
All of that was a lie. Yeah, they win.
Anurata was dead the whole time.
Oh, no.
I swear to God, if this book ended like that, I would have been like,
I think if the book ended like that, I'd be like, damn, I didn't see that coming. Anyway, so they defeat everything. They push their way to the capital. Along the way, Anurata actually interacts with the spears with her servo skull firing. She defends the third war host leader,
Yeah, the captain.
Brayak, and just shoots like a laser over his shoulder and saves him from a guy shooting him.
She pew-pews a guy, and
Yeah.
kills. Yeah.
like that.
So they get there. This planetary governor's like, I demand to die by ritual combat, and they just like,
No.
That was, I forgot about that governor, dude. That's amazing.
Dude, he's like, because that governor guy explained why the ecclesiarchy was.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you'd be like, well, obviously they're just renegades and heretics. But he explained that,
Right.
we're trying to do the best we can. This is how we ended up here.
Like, what other choice did I have? I deserve an honorable death. And yeah, the Marines are just like, yeah, no, you're good.
So he attacks him with a power sword, and they just fucking bisect him with a bolter shot. Like, nah.
Doesn't he curb stomp him as well?
Crushes his head after he
Crushes
gets
his-
shot in
yeah.
half. Yeah.
Yeah, honorable death.
Oh, and they give the power sword to...
Right. Brayak's talking to the mentor, like, hey, what's up? Who was that shot over my shoulder? And the 2 other thralls were like, ooh, it was Anurata. She was the bad girl who did what she shouldn't do. And the guy's like, cool, have a power sword, bitch.
Yeah. So now she's got a power sword.
Boom. Let's hope she never really uses
Up
it.
too late. She did. She killed a Marine with it. Oh, did I spoil stuff?
You
Yeah, I
did.
on
Yeah, that's
purpose.
fine.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
was like, wait, does she kill a Marine with it?
so
Totally.
yeah, after the battle, they kind of go off into space. Like, stuff happens, and then like a Chaos Marine ship comes in.
I like that they're setting up the planet for, being good. They're like, all right, Spears, you're going to do this, lead the governor elections, do all this stuff, turning into a democracy. And then this blip shows up, the Huntress, and they go, fuck the planet, everybody back on the
Yeah.
ship. We're fucking chasing this bitch.
We took this sword. Y'all are good now.
Because they've been chasing this ship forever, right?
They've been hunting it, but it eludes them because it's a super fast ship, supposedly. And it's not really explained very well, but they call it the Huntress, and apparently it's super badass.
Well, the reason being is it can translate to warp so quickly. So like it comes out of warp and then it can kind of jump right back in again.
Yeah, like it's like, all right, we're here. Oops, shit, we didn't want to be here. Boom, see you later.
Or just blow something away and then zip out.
Oh, but luckily they confiscated that amazing mentorship.
Right. Good thing.
Good thing. So they chase after it.
Not with the mentorship, they don't.
Was it with? Oh, it's with the hex.
No,
right?
they're in the hex.
Yeah. So luckily they could replace the hex with a mentorship. So off they fly in the hex back into the warp, kind of chasing after the ship.
Well, so I like that they describe jumping that close to a planet. Because it's like, all right, we've saved the planet. All right, listen, we have to go after it. And he's got his Brayak's got his advisors, and he's listening to him, and he's like, this is good advice, good advice. They're like, we need to get this. Everybody's like, we need to go now, get it, do whatever. And Brayak's like, but we're right next to the planet. If we jump right now after her, we destroy the entire planet we just saved. And they're like, Shit. Okay.
I like it because they're like, it'll take us 15 minutes to translate to warp. And you're like, well, that's too long. It's going to take too long. It'll destroy the planet. I'm like, well, it's still too long. Like, we need to get after this thing.
Yeah, I equate jumping into warp as a much faster thing, not taking 15 minutes to fire everything up and get going. I could see taking 15 minutes to get away from the planet far enough to jump to warp, but...
Yeah, you got to say your prayers, light your candles.
Like, I had to back up because I was
get
like,
some incense going.
Yep.
Jumping to warp
Give
destroys...
some sensual massages.
Oh, yeah. You got to essentially massage your navigator. Well, it's like when he finally releases, that's when you translate into warp. But the best thing about it, so they get into the warp they're chasing, they're catching up to this ship. And when I'm listening to this, I'm like, how are they?
X is badass.
I'm like, how are they catching up to this impossible ship?
So-
but then they drop a warp mine, which is a thing.
Yeah, so...
Awesome.
So the way that I remember it happening is that they drop... The ship plots its course and goes, it's going to drop out of warp over there.
Yeah.
So because they can't actually see it in the warp. They're not tracking it in the warp.
They can guesstimate as
guessed
best
where
as
it was going to
possible.
come out. So they go as fast as they can and they pop out of it. And that's when they run into the fucking mine it left for them. Like,
No, well, they're still in the warp when they hit the mine.
no, they're out of the warp because there's a Geller field that pops.
No, the mine pops the Geller field,
Right. They're
which lets the horrors of the warp into the ship and then drops them off of the warp. So they're only in the warp for about 1.6 seconds or something.
man,
they say
but it's bad.
And then the mine causes the Geller field to collapse. 2 seconds later, they're out of the warp. But in that 2 seconds, like literally the last 30 minutes of Doom, the movie with The Rock, has happened on the ship.
Yeah, they're fighting. They're having all these weird like flashbacks, and demons are apparating, and like
Before that, it was the first 20 minutes of Skyscraper. Now
Yeah.
it's the last 20 minutes of Doom. That's
Yeah.
what the difference is.
Well, it's like, so they're walking through
haven't seen
halls
Skyscraper.
and they have like
Nobody has.
blood.
John did.
I watched it. It was pretty fantastic.
I don't think he did.
The Rock played a guy with one leg. It was
I do
amazing.
have to say, I watched that new Fast and Furious movie.
So good.
Oh,
Dude.
the Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah, it was great.
I was too busy reading a book for this.
Yeah. So they're ankle deep in blood. They look up and there's like partially formed skeletons kind of screaming down at them from the ceiling. Like, typical warp stuff. No,
Yeah, no big deal.
no big deal.
Yeah.
If you're a fully trained Marine, then you're used to that stuff. But these slaves are just pissing themselves terrified.
Sure.
So you got the three of them. Of the three of them, two of them were together, and one was at the front of the ship with all of the Space Marines.
Right.
Yes. The lucky one.
Right. I would say that, I suppose.
Well, or what were they lucky?
Ooh.
So
Twist.
So they start trying to get through the static, and they're moving through the ship trying to find their boss. Like, he will save us. There's no problem. And they think they see him. They're like, they make contact with the radio, and he's like, yeah, come to the bridge. We're making our way from the bridge. And they see him. And they're like, there he is. And it's not him. And it's just a guy that looks exactly like him, only chaos.
True
Right.
Marine.
So he kind of warps in, fucks them up. He also fucks them up, but they kill him.
Yeah, they.
Hey, y'all are missing the trippiest part.
No, I was after that.
Oh, it was okay.
Yeah.
No, okay.
You talking about Daddy?
And talking about daddy issues that show up.
Yeah, that was after that, where she's trying to get to him.
So yeah, she's trying to get to a Space Marine. Like, her slave buddy killed the Chaos Marine, and like it was a hard fought battle, all that other stuff.
Because it's two basic servitors versus a Space Marine, and they have an
They're
autoloader.
not servitors, they're thralls.
I mean,
Two slaves.
yeah, but they have some cybernetic augmentics.
Yeah, they have some augmentation.
Sure.
Not complete servitors, but
But then, so they kill the Space Marine. It takes a lot of effort to do, obviously,
As it should.
as it should.
Trader Marine in the warp.
I really appreciated kind of like the struggle to take a Marine down. But then she starts seeing like her dad shows up and is like, "Hey, how you doing? It's been a while. I've been dead for a bit."
Yeah, everybody's here. Grandma, mom, your brother. We're all here in the Sea of Souls. Come on and hang out with us.
Yeah, like, "Oh, we missed you." And like it's portrayed as like a super chill conversation between like a woman and her dad. But then you're like, "Oh wait,
And then you get this unfortunate flashback about how her dad dies. I was like, well, I could have missed that. I didn't need that.
Sure.
it was pretty bad." But then you have Amadeus kind of coming through to save the day by killing her dad again in front of her.
Right.
Well, he's a demon.
Yeah, like he just stomps right through. Like, what's up? Oh, I got some of your dad on my boot.
You're like, "Yeah, this isn't your dad. Your dad's dead." I really now want to model all my plague bearers as just regular people. Like I want to have like
Please do not.
one plague bearer who's just got like plaid and like a sweater vest on.
Son.
And like whenever you charge them, and be like, oh, that's great, you're charging me, Danny, because actually those two Marines, this is their uncle and brother in this unit here.
Yeah, that would
Don't make it
that
weird.
that would not affect a Space Marine at all. He'd be like, nah.
Boosh.
But if you tried it against Imperial Guard, you might get somebody.
So they end up fighting so much of stuff, like a bunch of other Marines, and then get captured.
So
Yep.
all of the spears and the Mentor get captured
Yep.
with, energy lash whips or something, and then there was a lot of screaming and some nipple twisting.
You know what I really
I
liked
didn't
about
think they
this?
all got captured. I thought just some of them got captured with
Some of them did.
So I think Brayak was one of the ones that did not get captured. But of the war hosts that you've met so far, like 2 get killed in this fight
Sure.
because, now it's Space Marine on Space Marine and not
Yeah, it's
wussy ass human.
and it's
versus
pretty
Space Marine.
brutal, right? So
Yeah.
they get taken
Yeah, it's
on the
a very
Huntress,
brutal fight,
right? Like they get taken prisoner on the Huntress from like with some of these other Space Marines.
right? And
You know what I really liked about this part was kind of it showed the kind of the mirror image of Space Marines and Chaos Space Marines, because at the start of this book,
this book was written before the new Codex, so
fair,
Oh, you don't think he knew about the Codex when he wrote this book? I bet he did.
that he can't even spell Codex.
but that's fair. Spell check is a hell of a thing. But at the start, you're talking about these
ADB
3.
doesn't listen to our reviews. I'm good.
So Amadeus has 3 slaves. He cybernetically connects to him to find data about stuff. His leather is made from human skin, all this other kind of stuff. They talk about the poor quality of their food, like how they reuse people, how bodies are used to fuel ships. This is all kind of taken into, oh yeah, this is Grimdark 40K. Yeah, this is what Space Marines do. Cool. And then flip it forward to the second half of the book, and the Pure, which is the name of these Chaos Space Marines, they do the same thing. They have slaves. They use the slaves to feed the slaves, and they kind of use the slaves' bodies to power the ship. They're doing all the, like, it's like there's some Space Marine playbook. Sure. That's being used by both sides, but the way it's portrayed in the second half, when Bowden's kind of describing the Pure, is like, oh my god, this is revolting. This is so bad. This is such a struggle. We must escape this.
But it's like the same.
You're like, but it's pretty much the same thing. You're just
Yeah.
you're trading one for the other.
well, there's just a little bit more like rape and torture when the Chaos Space Marine stuff
a
does
little
it.
bit.
So we move ahead to being on the ship after a scenario that happens that causes them to have. So there's a warp issue where they think they see the number 1 thrall trying to kill them, because it's the warp. You're imagining shit.
Yeah.
And he does kill somebody.
Yeah,
Well-
he sees some die, and she sees like
Hold on.
A weird sword.
a
come out
weird
of his-
sword.
Yeah, like a Necron blade is the way she kind of described it. Like
I don't think she described it as a Necron.
She
blade,
said it
Dave.
was a black sword.
Xenos phase blade,
Yeah.
like a Death Watch. Sorry.
No,
she doesn't
I
even
she
say
doesn't
that.
know what that is, Dave.
She said it was an alien sword with glowing green runes. Is how it's described.
Sorry, that's my bad. I literally just finished it. How long ago did you read it?
I don't know, like 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
maybe.
All right, cool. Next,
Cool.
moving
All
along.
right.
So
Jesus.
he kills a Pure and then tries to kill them, is what they see, but that may or may not be what it is, because again, still warp, weird situations could be
And-
imagined.
Yeah, when I read it as like a chaos like rune blade or something.
Yeah,
Me
and
too.
like the way they're describing it, good save, Dave. Is at this point the 2 other thralls have like serious trauma. Like the girl who said she saw it has like head injuries. She's missing limbs. Like she is just completely
Yeah. True.
fucked up.
Ti-
So no
Tiberia.
one believes her that she saw this ghost with this kind of alien weapon.
Well, and
nobody
they don't
believes
even
either of
know
them.
this
Yeah.
stuff yet until after her experience on the Chaos ship, right?
yeah.
So they're freaking out. They're like, "Do we have to kill him because he tried to kill us? Whatever happens, we'll kill him no matter what.
Right. When we get back to the Imperium, we're gonna do
We're
that.
killing
Yeah.
that dude."
So luckily, the third and most important thrall becomes a leader of resistance on the Chaos slave ship, which goes about as well as you think
Yes,
it
you
would.
would imagine it would.
Luckily, not the storyteller. Who,
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Well,
so
she had her arm ripped off, her weird augmetic eye completely ripped out,
Correct.
and her leg ripped off as well.
Right.
So she has. Like,
But when I start listening to this book and I hear, yes, my friend, she has taken a position of authority within the slaves, I'm like, oh no. Oh yeah, don't do that.
you're gonna die.
I thought for sure it was going to turn out well.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this
Yeah,
never ends badly.
The pure would respect her authority
Yeah.
and her
Give
dedication
a
to her
position.
friends.
Yeah, you know.
She get like calcified.
We can't kill her. Look at how much they love her. That's pure right there.
But then out of nowhere, bang, the Chaos ship gets attacked, and
The Hex is back.
the Hex is back.
It's ready to fuck some
Sword
shit
of
up.
the Lion or something like that.
Oh,
Okay.
It was a Celestial Lion ship. It's a
the
blade
Celestial
of something
Lions
that rams it. Like it's got a sharp, pointy bow, and it
Oh,
just
okay.
fucking
Yeah.
rams the shit out of it. Like,
Yeah.
fuck your couch.
The Celestial Lions are gonna Celestial fuck something up.
So, this for me was something that I really liked. It was not that it just got rammed, but that it's described. She describes it afterwards as
Turbo fucked.
why did she we thought it was taking a while to catch up to him, but what actually was happening is the Hex didn't think they could catch the Huntress, so instead they cast out a wide web and said, hey everybody, we got the Huntress, we're chasing her northeast, head northeast and come get her, we'll run her into your trap. So they laid a trap for her, and basically she just almost escaped the trap, and they closed the trap around her afterwards, after the Hex was wrecked. And so this sword ship was one that was supposed to be hunting her, and just comes fucking flying in out of nowhere like, ha ha!
Yeah, some fries, motherfucker. Just like right out into the edge. Ends up rescuing.
Office supplies, motherfucker.
Ends up rescuing our narrator here and a few others. We found out Amadeus, our mentor, like hero of the war,
Did not survive, right?
bookended right at that point.
I mean, the book can continue. Let's be honest, he didn't survive.
And true.
yeah.
Dave's not wrong.
You have a good point.
I mean, mentally and physically, he was completely a different person because they cut him the fuck up, and like
They did so much crazy shit to him. It was absolutely insane.
So I think the Emperor Spear said that he needed 61% of his body replaced. Every part had been cut. Every part had been marked and kind of brandished. And
yeah, every organ, everything. It was,
like, yeah,
they
they even went
runes,
inside
like carved inside of him.
yeah,
Yeah,
like 65% of his bones were actually broken, pulverized.
right.
They described it as like what, like kind of mushroom. I forget the phrase he uses. Like his bones felt like kind of dust or something inside. It was really hardcore. But this kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier. How the Emperor Spears are like, well, waste not, want not. Let's add all that. Like, let's get him up and going again.
They were gonna actually they were gonna turn him into a fucking servitor because they need everybody. They were gonna take his,
because
what they
one of the
could from
thralls
him.
was like, well, they're going to intern him in a dreadnought, and this is when we find out he's so fucked up. They burned out the implants that would make it possible to intern him into dreadnought armor.
Yeah, all of his Space Marine implants were gone. So
Jeez.
yeah, so that's when Anurata decides, she's like, hey, they can't. She's looking at the holographs. She's like, they don't know about this, but there's a way to
I
save
do.
him. And then Kartash,
Do you have a single wound?
Yeah.
A standard bolt gun?
and he
Yeah.
didn't
Having
either of
trouble
those things,
maintaining.
actually.
He had no wounds
Separate
remaining.
signals.
But yeah, he did
like
get
half a wound.
get Primaris-fied.
He did.
So they run him through turning him into Calgar and make him a Primaris, and they take organs from all the guys that died and blood from tons of dead spears that died also. during
Which
the
we
whole thing.
find out they can do because they they share the same bloodline from the Ultramarines, which I thought was
Right.
like a super neat touch in there.
Yeah, that was
too.
nice
cool.
tie-in.
Yeah, it was a nice tie-in.
I liked that they in that scene back there when the Anurata's talking to the leader of the Pure, they explained who the Pure actually were.
Oh yeah, we forgot to mention that, Dave.
Yeah,
Go-
the-
go
Well, I
right
don't
ahead.
want to. I just figure we'll skip over it. and
Okay,
find
yeah.
out.
I mean, that's not important.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we skipped it. We're good. I'm just like, hey, that for me was like,
No, so it turns
Oh,
out the Pure
neat.
are the banished scorpions, star scorpions, and renamed later as the mentors.
they renamed themselves as the Pure when
They
they came out.
they renamed
Right.
themselves as the Pure. So that is why everyone's being such a dick to Amadeus.
Because the pure are the enemies they're fighting against are
So,
literally
yeah.
dressed just like him. Kind
I
of.
mean,
Yeah.
which is the whole thing. The Pure show up and they go, and the Celestial Lions and the Emperor Spears were like, what the fuck is this coming in to fuck us up here? And they're like, hail, brothers, it's us, the third chapter, the Star Scorpions. And they look at the ship and they were like, oh, hell no, you guys have fucking wiped out dead. This ain't happening. And so they just started engaging.
But what I really
Started
liked
a war
about it was that the Star Score, the Pure as they're called now, their reasons for doing it, again, they're not heretical. They're just trying to carry out the mission they were programmed with. And this was the way they were like, okay, this is how it has to happen. And yeah, they might have made 1 or 2 packs to kind of get rid of some genetic deformities, but you can't purge if you're dead.
Dude, you can't make an omelet without cracking a few eggs, baby.
I like that the leader can't manage was untainted in any way after so long in the warp. Because I mean, let's be honest, the time frame. I know time flows in weird circular patterns in the warp, but they have been gone for what? They had to have been gone for like 1,000 years at least. It's the Mentor Legion has been around forever.
So I was getting real strong Slanesh vibes from the.
Oh, I got Zinch.
Or you got Zinch from them there, yeah.
Well, I mean, with all the packs and
all the packs and things.
I got Slanesh actually myself.
Right.
Just like there was constant talk of perfection, and there's constant talk of like just kind of doing things and like the pleasure they seem to get out of doing things perfectly. I mean, they could be Zinch. I mean, absolutely. With a name like the Pure, it's kind of one of those nice kind of gray areas.
Sure.
And I'm sure someone will comment and tell me I'm wrong, and I look forward to that.
Oh, I'll do it right now.
Yeah. Okay, do it.
I agree with you that Slanesh.
But you're still wrong.
Still fucking wrong.
Still fucking wrong. Yeah. But it describes in excruciating 100-page detail the process of turning into a Primaris Marine.
It was literally like 2 pages. So fast.
Are you sure you're not thinking of the new Space Marine book?
Yeah. I mean, I might be. I can't see right now. So
tune in tomorrow.
Tune in today.
In next week for the Space Marine lore section.
But they talk about there's one great part where we know like the basics of it, where like they separate the chests and they put the Belisarian furnace like in between the 2 hearts. But there's one great part where like Amadeus is like resting.
You mean when they're right after they shove him through the box?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, right.
Because it's a cube,
But yeah, Amadeus is resting, and he's like groaning in his sleep, like ow, ow, ow,
it's
like
Rubik's
pretty much.
Cube, right?
Yeah, it is. It only the process.
That's how you make it. You put them inside and then just spin it until
the
they get
process
the colors
is
on
only
straight
successful if
out.
you line all the colors up right.
Oh shit! I got an orange on a yellow. Fuck. Well, he can be a spaceship captain.
But the chick, because the one square was left over. Yeah, that's good, Dave. But she leans over. She says she can hear his bones grow.
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh no, I don't like.
So and she doesn't have super hearing either. So if she can hear his bones grow, it was loud.
And then they were talking about how they used her as part of the procedure to cut open his skull and implant some stuff in his brain.
Oh, dude, she had to massage. She had to keep one of his hearts beating at one point.
Oh,
she
yeah.
was like, what do I do?
It is not an easy process.
But I remember this at the CPR dummy.
And I think the super, like, the most interesting thing about this book for me was a takeaway of, like, who is a Marine? Like, who are you when you're a Marine? Because when he comes out of this, and he, spoilers, he survives and he becomes a Primaris Marine. They paint his armor into Mentor colors. They loan him a bolt rifle.
So Anurata does that for him.
Yeah,
I mean, they didn't stop him one way or the other. So what I like is the interaction between her and Kartash the whole way through. Like, she is deathly afraid of Kartash, the person she accuses of trying to kill her, and Kartash
multiple times. Yeah.
So many times, right? That at the end of the Primarisification process, she's walking and she's told Kartash to stay away from her, and Kartash is just coming at her like in a narrow hallway, like in a dark alley, and she's like, "Get the fuck away from me! Leave now!" She pulls out a las pistol, and Kartash is like, "I'm just want to talk with you," and that's when the ship captain Saravan shows up and is like, "Hey, what's up?" And she standing there, and he's interjecting in between there, and Anurata has told everybody at this point that Kartash is evil. Kartash is evil, try to kill me, right?
Yeah.
So she just gets, she's like, "I'm going to kill you, if you don't get away from me." And Saravan says, "You should probably get away." And she's like, I'm terrified. I'm not doing anything. Please don't hurt me. And Saravan's like, "Yeah, you're a liar. I can hear your heartbeat, and it's perfectly normal. In fact, it's the most calm I've ever seen it. I've ever heard a heartbeat. You are not afraid of this woman at all right now."
Which I thought was like super cool. And another thing they point out here is that he has ceremonial like spices and perfumes, and that's all people can smell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I assume that was kind of like a lot of pseudo tech priest type thrall stuff does that sort of thing for machine spirits. But that was me reading into that particular character, thinking that's what that was.
Sure.
So I was like, yeah, ceremonial oils and spices, duh. They fucking went into the magic toaster and came out.
By the end, I was like, why are you mentioning this so much? I know, like, you've said 4 or 5 times up to this point that he stinks of ceremonial, like, oils and things.
Well, you could just think it's a flavor piece. I didn't think of anything of it. Like, it's just like trying to give myself a little bit more immersion.
Mm-hmm.
So
they have this big meeting between the...
Yeah, so they get a summons from the leader of the entire...
The chapter master of the
Defenders
Celestial Lions.
Yeah. Who, by the way, I love the voices for that.
Okay, so let's, Dave. I know you and I listened to the audiobook of this.
So Spears are Russian.
So yeah,
the Russian too?
No.
Spears are Russian.
Spears are Russian.
Oh, okay.
The Celestial Lions sound like they come from Wakanda.
Thank you.
Oh.
Yes, I was going to say South African. Hard South African.
Hard South African accent on the Celestial Lions.
Like South African, like from the movie Madagascar type, where they just over the topping it. I was like, ooh, this is really pulling me out of this.
So I will say for the audiobook version, it was performed by Kelly Houghton. 90% of the time, did a phenomenal job.
So I was disappointed. I think that it would have been better to have a split cast for that. Because, so I know you're reading a book, but having a split, having a male to do the
Primaris.
So many of the characters were male versus female, and I get it that the main character or the story to the narrator was female, so I get that. But it was hard for me to believe that some of these Space Marines were super badass with their high-pitched voices.
So for me, because I'm listening to this with a biased narrator who's telling their version of events, that's what made it okay for me to have a female narrator the whole way through.
I mean, it was fine. It was really hard to get into the badassery.
And I feel that having a cast in
not
this,
just a cast. I mean,
but like a different voice or kind of multiple voice actors for the audio thing would take away from the concept of this being an audio log of someone's experience.
Yeah, I could see that.
So that's what I take away from it. Sometimes, like when I think one part where I got pulled out of it a little was when she was talking as Amadeus. And then she puts on, like she says, he puts on his helm, and then she just talks like a little deeper to explain like how it sounds. I think GW could do very well. Like they do some great audio dramas, and I really want them to just put some of that production into the audiobooks as well.
Yeah,
it probably costs too much.
I mean, it would cost a shitload, but this book $40.
They probably only paid her like 2/3 of what they would have
$40?
paid John French.
$40 is what this book costs to buy the audio one when you're not buying an Audible.
Oh.
So yeah, from blacklibrary.com it's $40. Yeah, sorry. On you go there.
So the spear lady from Wakanda, the badass guard lady.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what the main chapter master sounded like to me.
So yeah, they get this whole
like a woman?
Well, she was a woman doing a man's voice, so that's what it sounded like.
I mean,
weird.
To me that didn't take me out. Like I said, it's just I understand when we're talking about it like as a narrator telling a story, like I'm not as pulled out of it as much from there. But what we find out on the bridge
is that a big ass wave is coming through the chaos warp. Like big enough and staying and in the warp, staying in complete cohesion. Everybody's together, like they've all tied a rope around them and they're sailing past the sirens and the freaking maw on the other side on their way back to Greece, just tied up so they can't go anywhere. And it's so big that it's fucking pushing a wave of warp in front of it.
Yes.
Which is
a super
absolutely baffling to me.
Badass thing here. Well, you got to think about it. Whenever I read Black Library stuff, and whenever they talk about the warp or space travel, they are talking about ships sailing on the ocean.
Yeah.
Like I ignore all kinds of theories I have about space travel or flight or 3 dimensions. It is purely ships traveling on the ocean, and the warp is just turbulent seas.
Yeah, see.
So that's how that imagery kind of gets through to my head there on that.
I could see you getting it that way. For me, I don't ignore that. Like the ships can pass up and down and pass through each other, and the way it is in the warp. It's just a distance thing. But that's the way I see it. So for me, I'm picturing like this wave of nebulous.
You think ships can pass through each other in the warp? I've never thought of that before.
Yeah, totally.
Possibly.
Warp
Maybe that's where some.
I
of the
mean,
crazy
anything's
stuff comes
possible in
from.
the warp, right?
Yeah.
But like,
yeah. I mean, I mean, they're not. I'm not picturing them like Guilliman's fleet together passing through the warp and like suddenly, a second ship just drifts through it and he's like, hey, how's it going? That's not what I'm picturing. But I mean, like the path could happen at the same time.
What I like most about this scene here is when this Emperor's spears tell the Celestial Lions, yeah, but you'll fucking die. You guys are done. If this happens, and the chapter master of the Celestial Lions
they're
is
coming
just
for their the Celestial Lions homeworld.
Yeah.
So they're going to end up coming out of the warp directly at the homeworld, which is like, well, it's fucking done. And he's like, we'll get everybody there. We'll stop the Armada. We'll do it. And then the Celestial Lions like,
nope.
No, brother, we will not.
No, he's like, yeah, we don't do that accent again.
Save that for the Jamaican.
Yeah, save that
podcast,
for like what?
We got to warm up. We're recording it immediately after this.
Okay, good.
Okay, good. But that's when the Celestial Lions are, because they're an older chapter than the Emperor's Spears, and they kind of, I feel, are a little better trained.
See, now I don't think they're an older chapter.
I think they're an older chapter, and they're just like, no, yeah, we're abandoning it. And then they go on to like how difficult it is to evacuate an entire world. And they're just like, yeah, it's not worth it.
Well, it's like, we can't save it. We're going to evacuate whatever we can, and we'll find a new world.
Something I loved about this conversation was halfway through this very serious conversation, they start talking about servitors. And they talk about how the servitors are walking and the room is so big that some of them don't even have to leave the deck. And occasionally they go back to their little cubicle where they process food coming in and they get waste coming out.
For anybody that's curious about the way that it is described, to me, it was very Borg.
Yeah, it was exactly, it was like a Borg cube.
And I almost thought of them when I read it, right? I thought that their chairs just folded down into the deck.
No, it says
because
somebody
somebody else comes in and pops back up because it's always manned.
Yeah,
so you
right.
got one
That's
guy.
what I'm saying. Like,
so they move up.
So like one pops down, one pops up in the same workstation, slides over or whatever, and it's in there.
But
Impossible.
again, looking at and has someone like having read like Dembski about his previous stuff here is like, why are you telling me this now? Like, what is the importance of this?
Well, so he starts describing it to you after the big bada boom.
No, it was before that as well. Because I made a note here that says servo butt bombs.
Which was great, by the way.
Yes. So what happens?
Servitor butt bombs.
To go back to something Danny said earlier, the Celestial Lions have had problems with the Inquisition back through Armageddon, where the Inquisition tried to wipe them the fuck out.
I really want to read just a full-on book now about that.
Yes.
There's a bunch of stories
because
about it. Like there's short stories. Like I think he did an extra short story about it, and
So like 2 words.
Yeah.
Lions Inquisition.
no, like an additional short story to the Armageddon book that he wrote.
But here, what happens is out of nowhere,
Fuck you, extra short was funny.
Okay.
your penis is not funny, Dave. But a Calidus assassin appears out of nowhere and kills the chapter master.
Is it Calidus? Claudius.
I think I always pronounced it Calidus.
Yeah.
Okay.
The lady assassin who you can deploy super close to the enemy lines comes out of nowhere.
As a character.
As a character.
Nobody
Comes out
could
of nowhere.
shoot at her because she was close.
And they describe it as being so quick, and then smoke and explosions come out of nowhere. And this is when they go back and explain that for weeks, this Calidus has been feeding the servitors bombs.
Just force feeding it into them because they can't.
Because they can't swallow it.
Because they're lobotomized.
They can't digest it. They can't poop it out. So their stomachs are just full of bombs. So yeah, they poop bombs. Also, I learned from this conversation on this bridge here, before the explosion happens, Emperor's Balls is a term that's used in the 41st millennium.
I am a huge fan of the way that it is described as the leader of the third war host and the chapter master are like, yeah, we'll settle. You can settle on Nemagast. It'll be the way it is. It'll be just fine. And they reach out to shake hands, and then the spear or the lion's head falls off.
Yeah.
I was like, do what now?
Like, huh?
I had to read it twice.
I had to back the audiobook up. I was like, wait. Did I just miss something?
Did the spears kill this guy? But no.
Who killed him?
Turns out the big bad of this book is the Inquisition, which was very surprising.
I wasn't expecting it.
Maybe not so much after kind of hearing Danny and kind of talking about like Armageddon and how much they hate. And then if you look back at it about how the like one person got sent through to check up on how they're doing. Like, why would you send all of those resources through to be like, hey, how's it going?
So I like that Incarius tries to save Anurata through all this.
Oh, yeah, because
he made an effort to save her.
Because right away they're like, "Oh, you're an outsider."
Well,
It
the
was
Celestial
your
Lions
fault.
hadn't met him before, and they still called him False Scorpion. The spears that he'd fought beside and trained with since becoming a Primaris are kind of starting to accept him a little bit. Plus, he's like 90% former buddies of theirs anyway, so, they're like, well, maybe he's not so bad. And they like Anurata. They have grown to really like her. So, they're on one side, the Lions are on the other. The Mentor was stuck with the Lions, and all sorts of hell and chaos is going loose there's neural disruptors and all sorts of stuff. He grabs Anurata and is like, run.
Get the fuck out of here.
And she goes, I can't breathe. And he's like, fuck it, fine. So he picks her up and I picture him just like throwing him over his shoulder, kind of like Conan the Barbarian, and just fucking bull rushing out the door.
Yeah.
Or, 6 feet before he's fucking tackled. Because, he beats a Celestial Lion in helmeted plate. Like, he just starts punching with the faceplate.
Yep.
And knocks him down. And I was like, oh, good to know.
So now-
Faceplates are vulnerable to punches.
We're trying to figure out what's going on.
Eventually.
And so he sends his slave Anurata to the quarters and like, go hide there. You'll be safe there. But she's not.
Well, they haven't figured out yet what's happening. Like, she still thinks it's Kartash with the blades and everything else. They get captured. They're thrown in a prison cell, and the librarian comes in and goes, "Hey, buddy, I'm gonna read your mind. Do you mind?" And he's like,
Because he was that casual about it.
"Yeah." He's
I
like,
want to just be like the cool
it was.
counselor
It
librarian.
was very casual. Like, he's like, "So is this to be my trial? Let's go." And he's like, "Hold on, I just need to look at your mind. Let me see." And he's figured out what's going on at this point. Why he was the one person sent through, and why it was him and 3 thralls, and that was it, and a full ship. So the Inquisition just is absolute super dicks.
Right.
Oh,
Vindictive, right?
The other thing I super liked about this was in the book they described the Inquisition almost like boogeymen. Like Amurata is like, I've heard stories of them. I've heard that they come, that they do this, but there's no like hard, firm proof about Inquisition coming in and doing these things.
Yeah, and his realization that the mentor chapter was like, yeah, his life isn't worth it. We'll send him through knowing he'll never come back. Like it just fucking tore him up. So mind read Amurata goes, he's like, nah, they're cool. Let them out. And they go hunting, throw him a bolt gun. And she's like,
that was the most
going
fast
hunting.
and furious way that they proved someone innocent. He didn't even say anything. He just threw him a bolt rifle and he was like, let's go.
Dude, totally.
Yeah.
It's like, yep.
It's like, fuck yeah. I imagine he
fucking innocent.
flexed when he caught it as well. It looked really cool.
I like that they didn't bother to, they didn't take his plate off or anything like that because they were still hunting her. And then, so she goes back to the hotel room to hang out, and she's like, I'm going to watch
The
cable.
Motel 6.
I hope that Fast and Furious is on TV. Turns out it was just Skyscraper. So, she's watching
Win-win for everyone.
that. Yeah.
The historical documents, if you will.
Yeah. I want to live in a world where Skyscraper is a historical document. But this is when we find our Calidus or Calidus or Caliladus.
Cat lady, actually.
Kelly LeBlanc.
Our cat lady assassin was actually she was actually the dude thrall the whole time.
What?
and
She's
this-
Scooby-Doo, pulled off her mask, chopped
Pretty
off that
much,
chapter
yeah.
master's head.
I was a little disappointed
Well,
with that,
polymorphine is a hell of a drug, guys.
It is, and so the
actually. So these
polymorphine
seconds of cocaine.
the polymorphine scent was hidden by the stupid scents and like mystic things like that. I'm like, oh, that's why you mentioned that
Because
so
the
much.
spears would, because the spears would smell it.
Any Space
Incarius
Marine would smell it.
Yeah.
And then, like, what's funny is she's wounded because, if you cut off a chapter master's head, Space Marines are just going to fucking open fire with bolt guns everywhere. And then
It's probably not good for you.
she kind of starts begging for her life almost.
I'm going to do air quotes around begging here.
She's like, please help me. Oh, the other cool thing we found out from this, and she was like, we have temples all over Imperium Nihilus.
Right.
I
So I
need
was
you
like,
to get me to one of the temples.
Yeah.
Right. So
Which-
there is Inquisition outposts
no, I don't
throughout
think there are.
Nihilus.
I think that was just a bait to get her out.
Oh, I think there are.
I think there are.
Well, then why not just use one of them? Why go through this whole ruse?
Because they need
You got to get someone close.
You got to get well. First, they had no contact, and they knew this person was gonna be able to. If the person made it through, they were gonna be able to contact like the Celestial Lions, and they were gonna there was eventually gonna be a meeting there.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, they have no way of getting a message across to one of these temples,
And they're very distrusting of newcomers. So if you have some random thrall
Well,
show
wouldn't
up,
you be distrusting of newcomers? The
Yeah.
Pure showed up and started wrecking havoc through your shit.
heck yeah.
I mean, you started the fight first,
I mean,
but, whatever.
She doesn't go with it. The assassin ends up dying.
In the best way possible.
How does
She gets shotgun blasted? Is that
Yeah, she gets.
No, vortex grenade.
Oh,
Oh.
yeah.
Out of the ship.
Right, right.
Classy.
Which made me laugh. But at the end of it, because Incarius, at the last second, Incarius and Brayak show up like, we're here, we got your message, and they throw a sword and a spear through there, and then it bisects the assassin and sucks her the rest of the way out the ship, and then the vortex grenade fucking goes bloop and it's done. And Brayak turns to her and is like, you owe me a spear.
Yeah.
Also, don't ever do one of those grenades on my ship again. And we have to keep this secret, because if I tell Saravan, he will kill you.
Yeah. So I think the key takeaways from this book, a lot went on. There was a lot of cool plot stuff, like the Inquisition being dicks was a nice reinforcement.
Nobody expected it.
But really, I didn't expect Inquisition to be the bad guys. But the key takeaway for me was the interaction between Space Marines and the evolution of that. Like we've all read our bolter porn where it's like, oh, brother, yes, you're here from this chapter, brother. I am an Iron Hand. Oh, good, brother. I am a Blood Angel. Let's go fight.
No, first off, that's a terrible analogy, because no Blood Angel's looking at an Iron Hand and going.
But this here, there's real conflict. It gives you like a real sense of Imperium Nihilus and kind of the desperation on that
It really
side.
does.
It tells you like warp jumps for them, or like just blind leaps of faith and hoping it works, because they don't have the Astronomicon
Good
at all.
endpoints, yeah.
They're like Nightcrawler when he can't see.
Yeah, they're like, hey, we're gonna go this way. Are you sure? Yeah.
Bamf. Ah, fuck, we're in a planet.
Right. So I mean, there's that goes into it, and also it goes for me with all of these characters. Like we have Tigurius, Calgar, we have the Khan now being primarified. Who are these people now? Because we've seen with Amadeus that when they come out the other end, they are not the same. And I'm sure.
Well,
And then he ends up at the end of the book.
yeah.
You realize he's
super
the one
spoiler.
asking for
He's the guy from the first book.
asking for her to like make the tell the story,
Yeah, because
because Amadeus
in
joins
that
them.
epilogue 3 or whatever
Yeah,
it is. It's talking. They're talking. Brayak and him are talking. He's like, you know what? I don't think I'm a mentor anymore.
No,
I feel like
he's
I'm
now a spear.
And he's like, well, Incarius is a terrible name for a spear. What do you think it should be? And he's like, I don't know, Johnson. And I am
He's like, I
The
love
Rock.
Johnson.
Amarada's like, hey, what's a word for scorpion? And they tell him, and he's like, what's the word for false scorpion? So it's like Va-Dun. So
Yeah.
he takes that as his name,
It's pretty good.
which was a nice twist at the end.
It was really
Brought
nice.
a tear to my eye, like
Yeah.
the time that The Rock Johnson leapt out of a skyscraper with one leg because he was missing a leg to save people. So.
This is a really good movie. You guys are underrating it.
I highly doubt that right now. Like,
I will show it to you, and you will enjoy it.
But only if we do it on Planketo.
But yeah, it's a really good view into kind of what goes into that process, and it's not an easy process. And yeah, are your favorite characters who got primarified, are they going to die in the process?
Hopefully. God.
Probably not.
Please take out
But it'd
it'd
Dante.
be cool if they did, though.
It would be a cool time if they're like, hey, Pedro Cantor is dead now. He died
whoa,
during
whoa,
the
whoa, 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 whoa,
primarification.
whoa,
Let's not-
Yeah, hold your horses
Dude, let's
there,
not do
Skippy.
Pedro, man.
If anybody dies, it's going to be Lamartes and probably Dante and also...
The Sanguinor dies.
Yeah.
Who else?
I don't know if the Sanguinor can actually be...
He does, though, because he's a garbage character, just like all the other Blue Angels
That's fair.
characters.
But this sets up some really
anybody that's a
interesting...
named Space Wolf, out dead.
Well, I like Lucas the Trickster.
Yeah. But this sets
doesn't
up
really
like
count.
a really interesting future for this series, because I believe this is going to be like a series of books for the
Yeah.
Emperor's Spear.
It could be, yeah.
Or from the Celestial Lions.
Or for the Celestial Lions. But I think where Bowden's boner is right now is with the spears. And how those move in.
Well, they're his own, right?
Right. And you have now enemies within and without. So where you take that story, and especially where you have all of these messenger ships going through the cicatrix, and it's been told in lore so far that fucks with time. So they can come out at any time, and now we could have spears on spears, or we can have
Whoa.
Imperium.
You never want to go spears on spears.
We can
dude.
have Inquisition
Hey.
coming in more, or
Tolerance,
more
Dave.
explains. It's a super good book, and
It is.
I very much enjoyed it. When I said it's a Densky Bowden book, if you liked like Legion, if you liked his other work there with Magnus and his Horus Heresy series, it's very good. And I would recommend it to literally anyone.
Oh yeah,
It's solid. I like.
it's a really
lot.
good 40K book.
I liked the. I liked that he managed to work in that they were Primaris, and that he wasn't just a regular Space Marine showing up to talk to other regular Space Marines. That in fact the Mechanicus and the Custodes had made it through to deliver this knowledge and impart it to them. And it was like, oh, and by the way, we're out, which means that there is one ship that made it through and back out, the Custodes and the AdMech, which just shows you that Custodes plus Rusty 17 is win.
Heck yeah, man. On that, I guess we'll be back in a minute.
Earl Hagen was a legend. In 1960, he whistled his way into Hollywood and into our hearts. Decades later, he made a comeback, lending those lustrous lips in the 1980s to such bands as the Scorpions, Guns N' Roses, and Pat Benatar. A half-century after his humble beginnings, he's at it again. This time without cumbersome musical accompaniment, he'll have you wetting your whistle and whistling along. His new album, Earl Whistles Disney, is sure to be a hit with all generations. Order now and receive a bonus album, Earl Whistles More Shit, a collection of previously unreleased material of Earl's favorite songs through the years. On this bonus album, he demonstrates his newly mastered technique of inward whistling. Order yours today on compact disc or double-length cassette. Also available at fine retailers such as Walgreens, CVS, and participating Sam Goody stores. Earl Whistles Disney. Buy it today.
And we're back just right in time for a plane to fly right overhead again.
Heck yeah.
Episode of this title of this episode, of course, is going to be planes over houses. But yeah, that was Spirits of the Emperor is a great book. Codex Ultramarines, Codex Space Marines,
And Codex Ultramarines.
and Codex Ultramarines, and Codex White Scars.
Yep.
Check out our YouTube channel, Mob Rules, on YouTube for reviews of that and kind of looks into what the competitive builds are. Thank you for your support for the weird little shorts I want to make.
Stop wearing those shorts, Dave.
Last
I can't help it.
last minute when I just
can't go nude, Dave.
and just general appreciation to the guys when I come to them and be like, hey, tomorrow night in less than 24 hours, I need to burn a bunch of your shit and also have you say and do these things. And also, Dave, bring a bathrobe.
We didn't end up using that.
No,
part.
well, you didn't. I did. But for that all, thank you. And yeah, we're going to be back in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks' time, we're going to be talking about the lore of Codex Space Marines.
Awesome.
And Ultramarines and White Scars and kind of more of how Primaris are being introduced into 40K, which, spoilers, I think is being really well done right now.
I'm excited.
But yeah. But anyway, for Mob Rules, I've been John.
I've been Danny.
And I've been Dave.
And we'll see you in 2 weeks.